Welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm your host, Adam Riancho. Today is Monday, July 6th. We're into the month of July. 8:30 p.m. Time for their live stream. I'm excited. Can't wait. Let's fucking go. Here we are. I am hopping into one of the final pit bulls of the contest. There are less than 300 spots open in this tournament. In fact, I'm going to refresh. Let's be precise. How many more entries are there in the pit bull? There are currently 262. Final 260. We are hopping in. No countdown. If you're eligible for the pit bull, now's your time. There are 8 spots. This will take a minute to fill, but I do expect it to fill pretty quickly. We got time for the pit bull. It's my last entry in the contest, and I'm happy to stream it for y'all. But let's bring in the chat. What's up? We got Pepper Tony in here. Fimpst, as always. Thank you for hopping in, my friend. Appreciate you every single time. Game Tight, how we doing? The blunt rotation unites. You know it does. Hartman is in the house. What's up? What up? What up? I am hoping, Hartman, that you have maxed the pit bull, and I do not need to go against you in this lobby. But good evening. Welcome. And Albie's in the house. Appreciate it. Good luck to you as well in all your endeavors, whether you're drafting later tonight or just doing anything in your free time. Hopefully, this pit bull will fill quickly, but 7 spots remain. We'll wait it out, and hopefully it doesn't take too long. But all right, we'll see what happens. Hartman maxed it last week, sadly. Very fair. Very fair. I almost did this entry last night on my own, but I was like, you know what? I have a feeling it'll still be open tomorrow night. I was correct, and it's just meticulously, slowly filling. We'll wait as long as we have to, but in the meantime, in case you don't know, now's a perfect time to plug our sponsor while we are waiting for this to fill. Maybe you'd like to enter this pit bull yourself, but promo code BLUNT is what you should use when you sign up for Underdog. If you're a new customer, you can get $50 in bonus entries after you play your first 5. So promo code BLUNT, link is in the description. Your first deposit will also be matched by 50% up to $1,000. So take advantage of that sweet deal. Definitely a benefit for first-time customers. But what's up, Mr. Mufasa? Good evening to you as well. We are still waiting on 3 people, 3 spots left open in this lobby. Maybe our boy Chris the Candyman, Fantasy Football Garage, will take one. Who knows if he has the time, but I'm hopeful he doesn't. That would not be as easy. Our boy Candyman, sharp drafter. But what's up, bro? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. I know you recently moved, so hope that all got sorted out nicely, and I hope you and your family are safe and sound. But Mr. Mufasa, wish I hadn't maxed it already. In all honesty, there is strategy involved in waiting to preserve one of these bullets for the very end. You might get much different people who were drafting in it at the beginning. It's possible all the sickos are just ineligible because they have already maxed it. So getting in while I can. There are 2 spots remaining. We're definitely not exiting this lobby. We will wait as long as we have to. Chad. Sounds like Chad might be in here with me. I'll do my best not to take Bo Nix this time. I might just have to start taking Bo Nix at ADP. I might just have to start taking Bo Nix where he actually goes. Because every time I've tried to push him, every time I've hoped that he would fall just a little bit, he does not. And I was in a pit bull yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. It was Sunday with Who Hames on his channel. He was kind enough to invite me and draft a pit bull together. And perhaps the one pick that we should have made that we didn't, I kind of wish I got in hindsight, was Bo Nix in the 9th round. But we did fill this lobby. We are about to find out which pick we have. The draft is underway. I get pick 10. Happy to be on the right side of the board. No issue with that whatsoever. And we are good to go in this pit bull. Yeah. If you can save yourself from clicking the button, it does benefit you to wait a little bit longer. So there's a lot of non-badges in here. We got Niners fan Chad does have the 103, but in all honesty, he is the only name I do recognize in here. Maybe if you're watching, let me know. But if you want a team review, it looks like at the moment the only team we'll be reviewing is pick 3, Niners fan. That's Chad, P49. But the wife even got a good kick out of the reaction. uh, I'm glad that the channel provides proper entertainment value. That my chances of winning Best Ball Mania or whatever contest are not ultimately the main priority here on the channel. I would love to do that, but I have a different measure of success than maybe the average person drafting in this lobby. I also need this channel to be a success. I also want as many viewers as possible. I want to put on a good show, and I would like fantasy football to ultimately be my career path. So happy that the wife enjoyed it. Typically, fantasy football content does not appeal to many women. So if we can get any woman to enjoy what they're watching, that is a bonus. So appreciate the insight. I'm glad not just you enjoyed it, but also the misses. But Jason, is Superflex Marathon a thing? I don't believe so. If there is, it would be on drafters. On Underdog, I don't believe so. I think there's the individual marathon. It's a season-long contest. You are instantly in the final as soon as you enter the lobby. However, you're not just drafting against the 12 people in your pot. You're drafting against every other person in the tournament. So that is one thing. I don't believe it's Superflex on Underdog, and I don't think they have a combo of the two. Now, I almost took Taylor there. My rank does not have CeeDee Lamb. You know what? I only get one more team. I'm going to live it up. I'm going to do it right. Let's go with Omarion Hampton. Let's take Hampton, shall we? Not going to beat around the bush today. We're not pulling up Genty. We're not taking James Cook or Saquon above him. I'm just pulling the ripcord. Give me Hampton, my boy. Our last entry into this contest. For $20, I want my guys. Hampton is one of them. Give me Hampton. Round 1. We pass on CeeDee Lamb. I think it's okay. I think there's a world where Lamb is actually not as productive as round 1 capital would suggest. I am back on the clock. I could stick with running back. That's definitely an option. I think Kenneth Walker building out the Chargers-Chiefs game is a factor. The final in this is 156 people. I will do it. I will take Ken Walker. We got Hampton versus Walker, week 17. I'll bet on that. I feel pretty happy with that. But Shamrock, appreciate you. Hope you had a good weekend as well. Everyone, hope y'all enjoyed your weekend and nobody lost a digit. Hopefully we all have 10 fingers left. But you know what, Disbanded? You are correct. We started off Hampton, Ken Walker. That feels like time for a hit, if you ask me. Yeah, Hartman. As much as I like Genty Hampton, I also feel excellent with this. And the more I look at the Chiefs' offense, the more I feel convinced that Walker's going to crush. I really feel like they paid him with the plan to use him heavily. I don't think he's a player you want to sleep on at all. The upside is really there. He has had some injury issues in the past, but ultimately when he's had the job all to himself, he's also put up top 3, if not top 5 numbers. He's been really, really consistent. When the RB2 next to him in the offense has been gone, even his rookie year, when I forget who he was backing up and kind of took a minute to, I don't think it was Rashad Penny. It may have been Rashad Penny, but I don't think so. It might have still been Chris Carson. Honestly, I don't remember his rookie year too vividly, but I know for a fact that once he finally got the job, he really took over. He was like a league winner his rookie season, And then they drafted Zach Charbonnet. And then it was just like, sorry, bud, we had a fucking stud right behind you, and we would be unwise to not give that guy some runway. So Hampton has had some injury concerns, but ultimately when he does get the opportunity, he crushes. And I feel like with the Mahomes ACL injury, Kelsey getting a year older, some hard to trust factors with Xavier Worthy and even Rashee Rice to a certain extent. The offense didn't add a single player into the mix other than Ken Walker. Super Bowl MVP joins a Super Bowl caliber team, and I definitely think that is the plan, to use him as much as possible until Mahomes is fully healthy, and then even then, still lean on him throughout the year. I don't worry about the backups. Kareem Hunt, a non-factor. Don't expect them to bring him back. Say what you will about Emmett Johnson, definitely a talented player. Believed in him pre-draft. Kind of a tough landing spot to be in it from day one, but other than that, Imari DiMercado does not scare me whatsoever. So we start off running back. I'm not going to be upset with that. I was really hopeful to get my guy here in the third, T. Higgins. That was definitely what I was hoping for. I could go Kyron. I'm not dying to take Kyron, though. Do I just set up a lad team? I mean, I guess that's... Honestly, what sucks about this side of the board, I have so many teams like this. I get some monotony in drafting these picks over and over, but they could absolutely just be the right picks that you need. I'm definitely hoping for that to be the case. So we're just furthering this Chiefs-Chargers game, and I probably won't be reaching on Herbert. But even if I don't get him, I think I'll be fine. I think I can still be excited about my roster, even without getting the Herbert stack. Hopefully that's our pick at 82, the 710. That would be an obvious selection. And you know me, I'm never upset with a Herbert team. Now, the question here is what position to take. I kind of want to pull up someone like Jalen Waddle. I kind of want to grab receiver, to be honest. But my rank actually says Scatabo. I think Scatabo is actually a third-round pick. Javante's still on the board. Not really a big faller, though. I'm going to trust my ranking. I'm going to take him. Shout out Meg. Shout out Who. Both big believers. Definitely have sold me on why I need to catch up on Scatabo. And I've definitely caught up. Now I'm just like, well, my ranking is way higher than what the ADP has adjusted to. So I'm still going to take him when I feel like it's fit. And in the Pitbull, I do not want to fall back on running back. I like this next pocket of the draft for receiver. I also think we can get some values throughout the rest of the way. And with 3 running backs I like and trust already, we're just not going to need to force that position for a while. And there are some good values elsewhere all throughout this draft. So really strong in the starting lineup at running back. Hampton, Ken Walker, and Cam Scatabo. Feeling good so far. Young Moolah, what's up? GAB for Life in the chat. Shout out our boy Young Moolah. If you haven't yet checked out GAB for Life, head over there, give him a follow. Really fun live streams and some awesome takes. Some fun food as well. He mixes in some food on Fridays. I was jealous. I was on his channel last week. I believe it was last week, 2 Fridays ago. And we had a great time. His meal made me jealous. We also drafted a banger team as well. Also, Hartman has a YouTube channel as well. Shout out Hartman FF, friend of the channel. Check him out here on YouTube. But what's your favorite spot to draft from? I kind of like pick 6 and 7 a little bit more the more I think about it. I kind of like being in the middle of the board. You get access to a lot of falling values and a mix of players from both sides of the board often. But I have a lot of experience at pick 8. That's also pretty solid. As long as I'm on the right side of the board, I think I'm pretty happy. The right side of the board is kind of the best, in my opinion. I love the double running back start, especially if you get your preferred pick at receiver in round 3. But the right side is definitely where it's at. Anywhere from like 7 through 12, I'm happy with. At this point, I kind of just want to balance out some of the picks I haven't gotten yet. I am going to trust the Brian Dable system. Perhaps kind of a crowded offense, a lot of pass catchers, but I will go Carnell Tate here in the 5th. I need a locket receiver. I need some volume. And I trust the 4th overall pick from this year's draft to contribute heavily. I expect a high target share for Carnell Tate. And possibly he's one of the best picks in the 5th. You could argue he should be drafted along the same lines as Tetero McMillan. Drafted with higher capital than Tet McMillan, arguably a better quarterback than Tet McMillan, and maybe more target competition, but usually we're paying a much higher price for somebody drafted in the top 10 in the NFL draft. A rookie receiver usually doesn't go late round 5. So a player I'm also ecstatic to take as well is still available to me. Now, the question here is, do I go Brian Thomas or Rome Odunze? I'm actually going to go Rome. He is top ADP, but also because of the bye week, if my plan is to draft Justin Herbert, which is definitely what I would like to have at pick 82, that's going to be yet another week 7 bye, and Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be on bye in week 7. So I like Rome Odunze a lot. The foot injury is slightly concerning, but not enough to fear. And ultimately, 19 picks after Luther Burden, I think I'm getting by far the better value among the Bears receivers. So give me that offense all day. Very consolidated, narrow target tree. Very obvious where the ball's going to go. It's either Burden, Loveland, or Rome when they're throwing it. They might mix in a Jade Walker every now and then, but typically speaking, Rome is probably the wide receiver 1 in Chicago. Anthony says hi. Jefferson goes before Lamb. In this one, yes, he does. Lamb fell to pick 12, and my rankings have it that way. I would rather have Jefferson than CeeDee Lamb, to be honest with you. But Hallie Lion, how you doing? What's up? Batweed in the house. Hello, hello. Nice to see everyone. W for Omega. Enjoyed your collab with Who Hames earlier today. Fun drafting in that lobby with you guys. Y'all had a banger roster. Not too many times. I like the wide receiver start. You had pick 4 with Puka, London, and Devontae Smith. I thought that team was very, very effective, given the strategy. Can sometimes put you behind the 8 ball. But looks like we got Derby Rhino in here at the 7 slot. Welcome in. You have the anchor running back strategy. You took Amon-Ra, Derrick Henry, T. Higgins, Luther Burden, Christian Watson, and Joe Burrow. Nicely filling in the Bengals-Ravens bring back that Week 17 matchup, as well as the Lions and Bears matchup. Amon-Ra versus Luther Burden. Good luck to you. We got Quentin Johnston going at pick 77. My only concern was if somebody took Quentin Johnston in the 6th round and just said, fuck it, I'm taking Herbert in the 7th. So I think I'm going to get him. These next 3 teams in front of me all have a quarterback. Maybe they double up. I don't think I'm going to jinx it, though. I would assume I probably get Justin Herbert at this pick. If he's there, I'm not going to risk it. I could easily envision the team at 12. Just think he's the best guy. Understand there's some backstack options, and definitely just take Herbert at 84 or 85. So I could push him. I could definitely risk it, but he's my highest ranked player. ADP is not much different. There's only Dak ranked above him. So I'm just going to take who I think wins the MVP this year, who I think is the best pick on the board. Come on down. Justin Herbert, double stacked with Hampton and Ladd. We also built out the Ken Walker bring back in Week 17. But the question here is structurally, what is the right thing to do? If Kraft was somehow available, I'd probably take Tucker Kraft and just risk it. But I think I can get a very solid tight end value in the next turn. I also don't want to fall behind at quarterback. And this is where I kind of wish I had like Jalen Waddle instead of Cam Scatterbo. Maybe that would have been a good pick, because then it might set me up for a Bo Nix at 106. The Sutton drafter is at 108. It's possible that happens. So my rank says Rico Dowdle. I think I need receiver, though, a little bit more importantly. I will take Chris Godwin, who, for the price, might be one of the best clicks at the position as well. There's a chance he's equally as valuable, if not more involved, than Emeka Egbuka. It's possible Chris Godwin scores more touchdowns, is actually more involved than Egbuka. I still want to take a lot of shares of Egbuka. I don't want to fade him too much. There were stretches last year where he was delivering top 5 production. He was crushing it in the start of the year. So it's possible that's just what the Bucs offense is from now on. The Egbuka show, everyone else is just a backup. But typically they're a pass first team, and Chris Godwin has historically put up elite numbers when healthy. So I will stick with him here. I think he's one of the safer clicks in this range. And given the team started off so hot at the running back position, taking receivers before they fall off is, I think, the wise move. The 9th round has a lot of good picks as well, but if you're taking them as your wide receiver 5, you're in a much better position than wide receiver 4. So Rico would have been nice, but I think the luxury of him in the 8th is more so a reason to stop at 4. And I think, honestly, this team is good enough where I can wait a very long time for running backs and piece it out with some nice backups. But I think receiver, tight end, quarterback are probably the priorities in rounds 8, 9, and 10 on this type of build. But you sorry yet? I am not. I refuse to say I'm sorry for anything I've done. Which draft are y'all doing? May join the next for the vibes. You know what? That's a good question. I think odds are we're just going to rip a bunch of chihuahuas. That contest might be full tomorrow. So I think odds are I'll just probably enter the chihuahua. But you know what? I'll start a poll. I'll ask you guys what you would like. Draft number 2. Do you guys want a chihuahua? I still have the mini golden available. I kind of want to wait on that, to be honest with you. But there's also the Superflex. There's also the Marathon. So I'll ask the audience, what would you guys like for our next draft? Odds are, I assume the Chihuahua will win the poll. Would have been happy to take Kyle Pitts. I'm really hopeful I get Michael Pittman, though. That is my ranking. I think Pittman is more valuable than Dobbins, and I think my team needs receiver still a little bit more than anything else. I think Pittman and maybe Matthew Golden are in a tier above the rest. There are not that many picks I think are as good as someone like Pittman. So this also opens up Aaron Rodgers. That's an excellent value. Definitely a good pick. And I will let the team at 12 kind of decide what I do here. I almost took Kenny Gainwell and set up the double stack with Baker, Chris Godwin, Kenny Gainwell, and Baker, but opening up Rodgers, definitely a value. There's also the Cam Ward option that I can take. I can go in several different directions here. But the Egbuka drafter is next to me, so there is a slight chance that I pass on Baker here and get him back. That is actually possible. And I also have some really good back stacks available. So I'm going to push it. I'm going to build out my starting roster with, I think, someone that really, really helps me out. I'm going to go Kenny Gainwell. We got the Kenneth correlation, the Ken Walker and Kenny G. And odds are it's not going to happen. But I have seen Baker as one of the names that has fallen recently. It is possible he's there at 130. I've seen him at 128. I've seen him fall. If you are paying attention, though, odds are it's not going to happen. But here's the thing. I still have Cam Ward. I still have Aaron Rodgers. I still have multiple backstacks available. I'm not afraid to get boxed out of a Baker Mayfield. But I've even seen Tyler Shuck fall this far. I would take him there too. I am worried about this turn of the draft because Some of these teams still only have one quarterback, but I've seen it happen. Stranger things have occurred. But W says, thank you. You're too kind. I had a blast, and I liked we got weird with both teams. The receiver got me way out of my comfort zone. Sometimes it's good to be pushed and be forced into a corner like that. Sometimes you just have to try it, and the room sometimes really punishes you, sometimes it rewards you, but I like the way it worked out. Love that you got Scatabo. The running backs you were able to piece together on that build were pretty legit, but Chad says I pushed Caleb and got burnt. You did. Unfortunately, G-Man did take Caleb unstacked. I don't want to jinx it, but so far so good. I liked my team. It was not bad. Yeah, the team was pretty solid. But MC Spears, I hate how this year people draft running back like madmen. Definitely a year to do some different things at running back. Definitely just like either lean in heavily or have drafts where you completely back off and just see what the board allows to fall. But you sorry yet? Let's go. Keep the Chihuahuas ripping. If I had to guess, it's the closest to filling. Yo, if I get sniped on both quarterbacks here, that's going to be a legendary thing. But I think I might make it out okay. Tyler Shutt goes, what does Jimmy do here? He has Allen and Bo Nix, and Baker has the same bye as Bo Nix. Yo, what did I tell you? What did I fucking tell you? What did I fucking tell you? I've seen it happen. Baker at 130. Come on down. Stacked with Godwin and Kenny Gainwell. I also got Michael Pittman. Fuck yeah. The bold get rewarded sometimes. I can't plan players. I have to go running back or get skunked. Definitely. You gotta take some risks sometimes, though. You know, sometimes the board does reward you like it did there. All right. That's phenomenal. I definitely have Kincaid ranked the highest. Receiver's been coming together nicely. Let's go Kincaid. Let's shoot for upside. When he's healthy, he's a juggernaut in that Bills system. And I'm not totally convinced that DJ Moore is going to crater his production. So this team is fire. I love this team. I'm really, really excited about this team. We got Hampton, Ken Walker, Cam Scatabo, and Kenny Gainwell. Running back is fucking lit. Receiver with Lad McConkey, Carnell Tate, Roma Dunze, Chris Godwin, and Michael Pittman. We are rolling at receiver. A lot of volume here. And then quarterback with the double stack Herbert with Hampton and Ladidi McConkey. And then Baker also double stacked Chris Godwin, Kenny Gainwell. Yo, I'm excited. And then we also have the like top 5 upside of a Dalton Kincaid. This team is fun. This team is pretty fucking fun. And you know what? Let's go smoke, man. Let's do it. Let's enjoy ourselves. But let me scroll down also. Make sure that's all in frame. I believe maybe that's Wawa time. Maybe that's what you're requesting, Batwheat. I do not know what Wawa time technically means. My favorite spot is the 12 hole to draft from. The 12 is okay. I think the 3-4 turn is kind of tricky, and I'd rather be at like pick 10 or pick 9, pick 8 than pick 12. I think you can still get a very comparable team. You know, your choice of the running back 1. I like pick 12. I got no issue with pick 12, but I'd rather be a little bit further away from the actual bookend. I prefer a pick 10, pick 9, pick 8, honestly. I like it quite a bit. I got screwed pushing running back there. Derby, Rhino, Henry, and then RB2 is Kyle Manungai. RB3 is Chris Rodriguez. I think that kind of saves you. And then Diggs was still available in the 12th. That's not bad at all. Derby with 6 receivers so far. Honestly, could maybe stop with 6. I think that's definitely a position you don't need more than 7 the way you've built it so far. That's what I'm thinking for you, Derby. But yeah, right? Fucking epic fall. Baker at 130. Pretty legendary. I mean, like for Kyler to go at 110 and then the next quarterback taken when typically the room gets kind of gnarly. Tyler Shuck at 128. I was pretty shocked because there were 4 teams on the end that only had one quarterback going into the 10th round. They had Stafford, Hurts, Caleb, and Jared Goff. Those 4 teams did not have a backup. There was also the Lamar drafter that didn't have a backup. He took Tyler Shuck, and good luck for me when it's all said and done. I mean, Juwan Johnson's in a tier like the others just aren't. I think I'm going to take him here. Trey Tucker's valuable, but I think building out my tight end room is also important, and Juwan is just like one of those picks that just consistently delivers. We got the upside with Kincaid. We got some upside with Juwan Johnson too, but definitely a high floor, and this team's fucking lit. I'm thrilled with this team. Now, the question is, do I take Rodgers here or push? I think oh, wow. Rax took him. Honestly, I think I can stop with these 2 quarterbacks, so I kind of don't give a shit. I'm just going to take my guy instead. I'm going to go Tank Bigsby. The room is done now. We got Hampton, Ken Walker, Cam Scatterbo, Kenny Gainwell, and Tank Bigsby, arguably the highest contingent value of any player. This is a true nice and blunt team. My final entry in the Pitbull, I'm in love with. Herbert, Baker, Hampton, Ken Walker, Scatterbo, Gainwell, Tank, motherfucking Bigsby. And then receiver, we're not done, but we got 5 with some firepower. Ladidi McConkey, Carnell Tate, Rome Odunze, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman Jr. Feels excellent. And then Kincaid, Juwan Johnson. I'm going to grab one more tight end. Maybe a third quarterback if I'm really feeling it. But honestly, I think by getting sniped on Rodgers there, it's just not going to happen anymore. By getting Baker, I'm chilling. What's interesting, if had I not gotten Baker, I would have felt the urge to take Cam Ward at 135 and probably Rodgers at 154. So who's to say we even get Juwan Johnson? If we take him there, I probably don't get Bigsby. So the Baker fall decided a lot because I feel more confident actually stopping at 2 quarterbacks with a Herbert and Baker than I do Herbert and Cam Ward. With Baker, I've seen it before. I trust that he can put up top 5 numbers any given week and on the season finish with top 10 production. If the offense stays healthy, I've seen it. I can trust Baker in that regard. But Cam Ward is still a project, still a mystery box, still a big question mark. And as much as I like Carnell Tate, I have a lot of Cam Ward. And I always feel like I need a third quarterback when he's my second. But welcome in, Jamie. Light it up. Gavis Con 2004 says Cam Ward's going to break through bigger than Caleb W. this year. That's an interesting take. I wouldn't be shocked if Cam Ward throws for more yards than Caleb Williams. But where I would be shocked is if Cam Ward runs for anywhere close to the amount of yardage that Caleb Williams can offer. Cam Ward is like almost strictly pocket passer, kind of immobile in the grand scheme of things. It's not impossible for him to pick up yards with his legs, but it's just not the way he operates. It's not his plan. So if you told me he threw for like 4,300 yards, wouldn't be shocked at all. He did that in college. But to tell me he throws for more than 25 touchdowns is a little optimistic. And if I had to guess, this year Caleb is probably cracking 4,000 passing yards. He almost did it last year. Probably goes over 30 passing touchdowns. If I had to guess, it's pretty close to that. But we'll also tack on the rushing yards that really compensate and put him over the top. So maybe the breakout is significant, but I don't think he will overtake what Caleb was able to do. Caleb also threw almost no interceptions last year. I believe it was only 7. I'd be kind of surprised if Ward only does that. But this is kind of a tough spot, honestly. Shit. I think I'll just go Zachariah Branch. A rookie I feel fairly good betting on. I worry about Stribling. Pretty crowded there. Felt like the volume, the price tag went a little bit high. Same with Antonio Williams. I get a different bye week than week 7. That's kind of the one week that's a little bit inflated on my roster. Week 7 buys. There's one at every position. It's not the end of the world. My ranks is to take Greg Dulcich. ADP is basically saying take Dulcich as well. And I get the bring back. The Buffalo Bills do play the Dolphins, so I'll do that. I will take Greg Dulcich here at 183. So the tight end room coming together, expecting a lot of volume for Greg Dulcich. Odds are he's the go-to target in the Dolphins offense. But Juwan Johnson, very underrated player, excellent chemistry with Tyler Shuck. They were college teammates back in the day at Oregon. That was quite a while ago. If you don't recall, Tyler Shuck is, I believe, 27 this year. So Shuck played in college for a minute. And Juwan Johnson used to be his teammate. I believe, if I'm correct, they were also roommates. But tight end is now complete. Definitely a done position with those three. I don't really feel great about Cade Otton, to be honest with you. I'm not the most excited about Cade Otton. Touchdown production is an issue to bet on with Cade Otton. He kind of maxes out at 4 typically. Last year only had 1, but even if he bounces back and scores 4, that's not that many. He's all right, but I think the true upside is possibly more likely to go to Dulcich. There's just no other competition than Achane that even comes close to what Otton has to deal with in terms of target share. So I'll go Dulcich. My ranks say Dulcich. I'm going to trust him. But, oh, wow. I just noticed Ingram went off at 182. Holy shit. That's weird. Evan Ingram, 182, is batshit. That is kind of crazy. That team also took 4 quarterbacks. That's the team that sniped me on Rodgers. Yeah, that team's kind of batshit. A little wild card over there. Maybe he was upset I took Baker. He had Bucky Irving and Igbuka, but I had Godwin. I had Kenny Gainwell. I played it smarter. I was on the inside of the board. That's got to factor in. There's got to be some bitterness with this Rodgers pick, if I had to guess. But what's funny is I probably wouldn't have even taken Rodgers there. I think I would have pushed Rodgers to 178, not taken him, 159. But you score on 2 running backs a week, so I think 2 studs, a must early rounds. It's a pretty safe way to build out the roster, the 2 RB build up top. It's usually going to work out for you. I like the way I built mine today. That's for sure. Wawa is Chihuahua. Okay, gotcha. Near me, there's like a Wawa grill. And then for some reason, I feel like there's like a term related to Wawa. I definitely don't think of the dog when I see the W's. But I did a 1 tight end team. Good luck with that. But yeah, I don't think I really needed a 3rd quarterback, Pepper Tony. It was just kind of like for the vibes of advancing. But if I believe that Herbert is the MVP, I don't need Rodgers. That's a very, very fair point. All right, I was hopeful that Ted Hurst would make it back. We get the Baker stack. It definitely checks out. My rank technically says Ridley, but I don't put the biggest focus on the nuances of my rank this late. In all honesty, sometimes I just click buttons at the end here. I kind of more focus on what the team needs. And I think another Tampa Bay Buck is valuable here because Godwin has some injury concern. If Godwin goes down, then there's some really high upside behind him. Ted Hurst would definitely step up in that scenario. They play a different role, but I would like Ted Hurst a lot. Okay, with our last pick, though, I'm going to go receiver again. And I'm going to have some fun. We're getting another stack. We're going Brennan Thompson, motherfucker. How many players can you pick in the 18th round that have a 4.26 40-yard dash time? How many players have a 4.2 profile this late in the draft? We know Mike McDaniel loves his speed, and they were very excited to draft him. I think some of the upside that has been placed on Keaton Mitchell's doorstep should also pivot to Brennan Thompson. Give me the elite speed of Brennan Thompson with Justin Herbert. We're going to get a few house calls with Herbo to Brennan Thompson. I would assume Brennan Thompson has like 4 touchdowns this year. I think 3 or 4 touchdowns is a very legit projection for Brandon Thompson because when he hits it, it's going to be a house call. It could be a 7 touchdown year if he's even more involved in just like go routes, basically. But where he's used is going to be all or nothing. And I do think it can come in handy over the course of the year. So this team is very fun. I am ecstatic, to be honest. But let me catch up with the chat. Let me make sure I get there. Yo, what's my cat doing? My cat's fucking going a little weird. 3 quarterback covers an injury if it happens. At this point, I think this team is just worth trusting with Herbert and Baker. The full round discount on Baker is also massive. And then Herbert, I think, is also a player that could probably just win the MVP. And historically, he does not miss time. If he does, it's like a very serious injury that's hard to predict. I wouldn't expect Herbert to be missing any games. So we'll see what happens. That's kind of the only justification, the advance rate, if your quarterback gets hurt. But if they don't get hurt, if they're just the right picks, then that third quarterback might be unnecessary, might not hit the lineup very much, might only save you like 15, 25 points over the course of the year. And if you're going to finish first in the lobby anyways, that might not mean anything. Having that extra receiver, having that extra tight end could be what saves you ultimately. Now, is Rodgers versus Juwan Johnson, how much does that factor into me advancing? I'm not sure, but my team needed tight end a little bit more. I have no regrets scooping up Juwan Johnson there. None at all. But Pepper Tony disagrees, does not think I needed Rodgers at all. We had him stacked. It was an option. It was an option. But I think it was more an option had I gotten Cam Ward instead. But MC Spears says I go 2 QB on Underdog and 3 on DK. In the 18 rounds, I want to have an equal balance of 2 quarterback teams, 3 quarterback teams. I've definitely taken more 3 quarterback teams this season. I've been trying to do less of them. This team, I think, was a perfect excuse. But Anthony, should I ever take JJ McCarthy? Fuck no. No. Just save yourself the headache. Not at all. A-Rod, yo, what's up? Bayou Bengal in here, what's up? If anyone hasn't checked out Bayou, awesome live streamer as well. Excited for you to be in the chat here today. We got MC Spears as well. Hey, your 2 QB is solid in his opinion. Very on-brand team. I would agree, Hartman. This is extremely on-brand. And then 2 QBs was fine there. Team looks good. I know. I'm pretty happy with it. The running back room looks fucking awesome. And then receiver pieced itself together. I'm chilling with my team. Let's take a look at Niners fan. Chad was in this lobby. He's a member. And then just because there's only one other person, I might take a look at Derby just for the hell of it. Because otherwise, there's nobody else to take a look at in depth. But looks like we're drafting a Chihuahua. We got 56 people watching, only 21 likes. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're enjoying the channel. If you thought I drafted an excellent team, hit that like button. Easy way to support the channel. Help me out in the algorithm. And one quick reminder, in case you missed the first promo, if you would like to draft on Underdog with me, you can sign up with the link in my description of this video. Promo code BLUNT gets you $50 in bonus entries after you play your first 5. New customers with the promo code also get a first-time deposit match up to $1,000. Promo code BLUNT. The link is in the description. But, all right. Niners fan, our boy Chad was at the 103. He took Mahomes and Jackson Dart. I'm fine stopping with those 2 as well. I think that's fine. Kind of an injury-prone duo. Definitely could miss like 10 games combined, and that could be the issue with this team. There is a lack of floor with those 2, but very high ceiling. You could have 2 top 5 quarterbacks any given week, so that checks out on the surface. Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Jalen Warren, Jordan Mason, Brian Robinson, Emmett Johnson, and Jaden Blue. Excellent depth. Maybe not the best players up top, but if Jacobs doesn't get suspended, if nothing happens, he might be one of the best picks on the board, especially 6 picks past at 46. So no risk it, no biscuit. I would assume the receiver room is excellent, or you have Brock Bowers or something like that. But it looks like you started off triple wide receiver, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, and Devontae Smith. You took Travis Hunter and Jalen McMillan. Trey Harris and Darius Slayton. Love the Slayton pick. Love the Trey Harris pick. Love the McMillan pick. The Travis Hunter wide receiver 4 selection, though, is a stance that could be a problem. If one of these guys gets injured and Hunter just fails to deliver, you might be shit out of luck. You may not have enough. But I like this trio down here. I think they can pop at the right times. Honestly, I don't think it's a problem to have Travis Hunter on this build. These three should deliver enough. We'll see. But we have Colston Loveland and Travis Kelce, and this team checks out. The running back room is not the most inspiring, but Pollard is one of the best picks right now. Jacobs could be top 10 again, and then Warren is fine. Mason's fine. B-Rob has contingent upside, could score like 5 touchdowns, though. Emmett Johnson is fine as a handcuff, and then Blue is all or nothing. But elite upside. Yeah, so yeah, I hope the quarterbacks stay healthy. I hope Mahomes doesn't miss any games and Dart doesn't have any major concussions. I hope they stay healthy enough where that carries you. That's the one thing I worry about. But tight end is great. Receivers, fine. Very top heavy, but fine. And then running back has enough of a depth chart to work. I think you're in business. But very quick on Derby, he has Burrow, Love, Henry, Monangai, Rodriguez, Coleman, Algier, Marshawn Lloyd. Yikes. Running back is very dependent on Henry and Rodriguez or a Swift injury. But then receiver, Amon-Ra, Higgins, Burden, Watson, Reed, Diggs, Surratt, that checks out. No issue there. Kittle, Helm, and Ferguson, that's pretty legit. Yeah, it's just a case of running back takes are gross, but C-Rod could actually be one of the best saviors. If Henry delivers, you're all set. But good luck. I worry a little bit about this running back room. Good luck. All right, we are done with that. We're going to enter the Chihuahua next. And I will take... I kind of want to take a break to get some water, to be honest with you. But I think I'll do that after we enter the lobby. I'll give you a countdown. Set up the Chihuahua. Like I said, use promo code BLUNT if you're new. But not sure if you entered early, MC. I have not entered yet. But all right. We are hopping in the Chihuahua in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. I'm shocked that this contest is already this full. A $4 contest, I guess it makes sense, but 88% basically, that's fucking fast. This thing dropped on Friday? That's 3 days. That's pretty, I guess it's 4 days. Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. If you're on the East Coast, it's technically Tuesday. So, yeah, 4 days, 88%. Damn. That's fucking fast. But I pulled the 101. Excellent for me. Love it. However, I don't love the left side of the board. I'd rather have the 112 than the 101. But Katz is next to me at the 102. We got Bam F Goat at the 103. Rezdog at the 104. Shout out our boy. We got Sparkles 99 at the 5th pick. Game Tight and Niners fan, a couple of Blunt Rotation members at the 6 and 7. We got Big Slow 16 at the 108. McNix 19 at the 109. I am the KY. Just a lot of jelly over there, I guess. But Matt Porter 328 at the 111. And then Uncle Solo pulling up the caboose, pick 12. This draft is underway. I am on the clock. I will take Jahmyr Gibbs and move on into round 2. But Burgess did not make it in. I do not see in here. But appreciate you, Best Ball Cabal, hitting the like. Definitely time for a rip. Here's the thing. We are still only sitting at 29 likes. If we get to 35 likes, I will take my next rip from the pipe. 35 likes for our next rip of the pipe. But in regards to the poll, it was massively in favor of the Chihuahua, 73%. So given how the contest stands, the fill rate is pretty high. I think we'll just strictly draft in the Chihuahua tonight, the rest of the way. But 35 likes, 5 more, and we will take a rip from the pipe. We had an excellent, very on-brand team I was super happy with, and now we pulled the 101. The vibes are pretty high. I'm pretty happy so far with what happened. This is a pretty dope team, if you ask me. But coming around the corner, nothing crazy so far. Justin Jefferson's still on the board. He goes at the 12th pick. Genty did go at pick 6, but that's the most common name to go out of order and much higher. I've definitely done it on occasion. I took him at pick 4 the other day. I think that was also a Pitbull team. I think we drafted one, what? Was it yesterday? Might have been yesterday. All the days kind of blend together sometimes. Okay. Hampton, Saquon, Ken Walker, Devon Achane, and Chase Brown, Derrick Henry. As expected, the run on running back ensues. And honestly, Game Tight played it correctly. Had he not taken a running back, maybe Taylor is the correct pick there, but not going with running back, you kind of get boxed out. So not trusting Taylor, getting a little bit different. And then sets up the Genty Bowers combo, the double Las Vegas. Definitely not the only one to do it, but not afraid to mix it in every now and then. But here, I am pretty clearly George Pickens and Rashee Rice. I have Rashee Rice ranked the highest. And my exposure to George Pickens is actually kind of low. It's actually kind of low. But I'll take Rashee because I'd rather bet on Mahomes to fall than Dak. And I'm going to get a little bit different. I'm going to pull up T. Higgins. T. Higgins, I think, is a very legitimate round 3 pick. I think the upside for him is top 5 any given week. He can put up a top 10 season. He's had some injury concerns. He has not always stayed healthy, but any given week, the man can drop 2, if not 3 touchdowns and definitely provide you with the points necessary to win. So he led me to a championship 2 years ago. He was the nutted piece, put up a hat trick against the Broncos 2 years ago, week 17. And I'm not really sure why he's never moved up the board. I am taking him here to get different. T. Higgins paired with Jahmyr Gibbs is less common. And I don't think it's a bad choice. I think he can absolutely outperform Devontae Smith. Chris Olave is dealing with some question marks, so that's not the biggest guarantee. George Pickens is also dealing with an elite number 1 receiver above him, but it's not like Dak Prescott hasn't had some issues. When he goes down, the offense looks like shit in Dallas. So Dak has failed to put up 2 straight healthy seasons for a while now. If that happens again, Pickens is definitely not worth this pick. And there's an argument he's just not worth it in the first place. So I'll go Rashee Rice and T. Higgins. And when I pull the 101, when I get a Gibbs or Bijan, my preferred strategy is to go wide receiver at the 2-3 turn. I think for the value proposition, I know what I'm getting a lot more than what I am getting at running back. Receiver feels way safer at the top of the 3rd round. There are some names I think are just very, very safe to take. And Pickens is one of them, but I have a lot of Rashee Rice, George Pickens, and Jahmyr Gibbs starts. So getting a little different today. I'm fine with it. But even if you dislike the team, hit the like button. Appreciate you, Pepper Tony. We are not doing a big dog, that's for sure. I do not have the budget for a big dog, but Hunter plays too much defense for me, in my opinion. I fade him a lot. I wouldn't fade him entirely. I wouldn't fade him completely. I do see a world where he is one of the pieces that completely burns you if you don't have any. But Derby said it wasn't his best work. The team was okay, though. I didn't think it was bad. But Pepper Tony hasn't joined in a while. We're not sure. But who's in the 12 spot? You missed it. Good luck on the next one to Batwheat as well. We got McNick says, what's the opposite of dominate? That's what I'm about to do. That would be to submit, I suppose. Basically, it's paying the rake. That's what it is. What the fuck? Auto this, get water, do another now. Bummer you did not get in, Austin. But Jack Dog, do you play Best Ball Mania? At times. So far I've drafted 17 teams in Best Ball Mania. I'm not gonna do all 150. I'm not gonna max the contest. If I can do at least 30, I'd be pretty happy with it. If I do 40 of them, though, I think that's the max I'll do. I think I'm not willing to sink more than $1,000 into Best Ball Mania this year. More than last year, though. Last year I only did 9 of them, so I've done more of them. But typically I try to get into some better odds contests on occasion. I'm going to take Travion today. We're going to shoot for first place. We're going to go Travion. And then receiver really falls off a cliff. Receiver never looks the same in the next round. So as tempting as it is to grab another running back, I do like the builds with a running back at the 4-5 turn. We have Gibbs. Trusting him, I think, is part of the proposition. And I'm going to go Devontae Adams, a very safe pick in my opinion. Kind of a lock for like 12 touchdowns minimum. And age and injury concern is kind of the only issue. But I think had he been healthy in the playoffs last year, he would be going higher than this. I think we'd have more faith. Based on how many points he was scoring per game, he is definitely worth this pick, if not a higher pick. He probably should go in round 4, much higher than the top of the 5th. But good luck to anyone who missed it. Hopefully you're in the next one. But do I ever do regular 12-man drafts? I do not, but I suppose maybe I could add that to one of the poll questions at one point. Maybe we could hop in. But, I'm seeing we hit the like threshold. I'm just checking now. We are up to 36 likes. Appreciate everyone. Let's let her rip. Shall we? I'll see you on the other side. Water hit new draft. It is only $4. I still have a little bit left, so I'm gonna finish that. But I know, like the stream, so this man can smoke weed. Please, he needs it. There should be like an infomercial, like a. Is it Sarah McLaughlin? I think it's Sarah McLaughlin. In the arms of the angels. By joining the blunt rotation, you help provide funding to this man's weed supply. For $1 a day, you can let this man prevent starvation. But all jokes aside, thank y'all. We also rapidly then just went up to 39 likes. That was a big jump. Once we actually took the rip, it went up pretty fast. But anytime you have Gibbs, got to be pretty happy with it. But if I could only smoke when people liked what I did, I'd have a lot of issues. I know, right? Could you imagine the flip side of that? If you guys were just like, you know what, Adam, we need an intervention and you need to stop. We refuse to give in to your like goal demands because you have a problem. But Game Tight has not taken a single receiver yet. Went with the double Vegas and then Travis Achan, Cam Scatterbo, Quinshon Judkins. So far, the 0-4-0-1. I'm curious to see if he takes a receiver here or a quarterback because I think at this point you got to commit. I think he's taking quarterback here. That's my guess. Watch it be Drake May. No, he goes Harrison. He caves. Coward. Goes Harrison. Honestly, that's the boldest pick of them all. Trusting Harrison, your wide receiver 1. That is bold as fuck. But, yeah, other side of the board, it's different. It's a little bit unique. It could be incorrect, but we'll see what Bamf. Yo, Bamf Goat. Maybe he didn't realize that I have T. Higgins. He's like, no, I don't need Joe Burrow. Maybe I can get Joe Burrow at 75. Nope. Nope. For good measure, I'm going to take Burrow in the 7th round. But first, I was really hopeful he'd be here. This is perfect, honestly. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. Tony Pollard, and we do get Joe Burrow paired up with T. Higgins. Yo, this is pretty fun. This is pretty sweet. Not many Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jahmyr Gibbs teams. Because even if you're bold enough to do this, the Jamar Chase drafter needs to mess up. Needs to pass at 70. And usually the Jamar Chase drafter is never fucking passing at pick 70, let alone the Chase Brown drafter. But you know what? We got some nice falls on the last one. We got the Baker fall. We got Herbert. We're in very good shape so far. I do still think Burrow is mispriced. I think Burrow can go later, but I think Burrow should go in like the late 7th, early 8th, honestly. I think he should go where Herbert and like Trevor Lawrence go. But that is essentially a pick that would not fall back. So at the turn, pick 73, excellent value there on Joe Burrow with the T. Higgins stack. But yo, for real, Pepper Tony? Damn. Bummer to miss it, but I wouldn't have left my house anyway. That's a fair point. No worries, MC. T and Tet. That's not bad. I don't like pulling up Tet McMillan though. I don't think Tet needs to go any higher than where he already goes. I think there's a chance that Tet McMillan might be overpriced. But M. Stockton, I've had Travion fall to me at 60 in a couple BBMs recently. Thoughts on that? I've gotten him in the 6th round a couple times as well. I'm shocked whenever it happens, but obviously I'm one of the people that passes on him in the 5th as well. So there are reasons not to trust him. If you really believe some of the hype on Ramondre or just don't want to fade Ramondre, then the argument is definitely against Travion, and there's just a chance he doesn't work out. So I understand the reason to pass, but once he does take over, his true upside is in the top 10. He could go at the 1-2 turn next year, and there's just not that many players left on the board, especially at running back, that could possibly do that. The true upside of Travion is massive. He could be top 5 any given week, especially if he can steal the job from Ramondre, or if Ramondre goes down. That's definitely also on the table. Ramondre is not insulated from all injury risk. So his true ceiling outcome is just so valuable. And also, I'm at pick 1. I'm at the bookend. I'm at the turn, and I have to wait 22 spots for my next pick. I just have to take a stance, call my shot, and say, I'm getting the best player among all available in the next 2 rounds that I don't think can fall back to me. Like, if I didn't believe that Burrow could fall back, then there was an argument I should have taken him over Adams and Travion. Maybe there's an argument there that Burrow is the most valuable. But Travion has one of the more compelling arguments in that fashion, where his true ceiling is still higher than where I took him. So if you get him at pick 60, if he does fall, just say thank you, accept the gift, and move on. It is a big oversight by the rest of the lobby, especially in best ball. But the pet adoption, yeah. Yeah, the ad that comes on at like 2 in the morning when you're watching Jackass back when you were like 12 years old on Adult Swim. You know, like, you shouldn't be watching Jackass, but it cuts to commercial and it's trying to get you to donate to some kid in Africa. In the arms of the angels. Or the pet adoption. Yeah. But a little weak at tight end here. Probably going to go with 5. I mean, why would you take 5 tight ends? Definitely not the move. I'm not sure if you're in this lobby, McNicks. I think you are. Yeah, you have McBride and Loveland. Sweet. Yo, we get Mahomes to fall back. Even better. I can also pair him with Worthy if I want. I need some receiver depth. Yo, this team's looking fun. I'm totally excited about the double stack, but there is part of me that thinks Worthy is still not quite worth this pick. But ultimately, they did not bring in anyone to compete with him. It's Rashee Rice, then Xavier Worthy, and then Tyquan Thornton, and no one. They let go of Hollywood Brown. They believe in the development of Xavier Worthy. That's kind of the writing on the wall. That's what they're telling you. Either that or they are massively pivoting towards Ken Walker. But we get the double stack, and maybe we also get Travis Kelce at the next turn. I might get the Mahomes Mega. Everyone but Ken Walker. That'd feel pretty sweet. But Quaid says top 5 scoring teams weeks 15 through 17 according to Vegas. Rams 83, Lions 81, Eagles 78, Seahawks 77, and the Chiefs 76. Well, I just took a Chief. I just took the Mahomes quarterback situation. If that's what happens this year, that'll be excellent. I think they might be sleeping on the Chargers, though. I think the Chargers against the Niners week 15, then against the Dolphins. That means a double Mike McCarthy revenge game. That's going to be pretty lit. They also get the mini bye in there because week 15 is a Thursday night game for them against Kyle Shanahan, though. Should still be like a shootout if you ask me. But then they're against the Chiefs in week 17. I think the Chargers should be on that list. And call me a homer all you want, but I think that's an oversight by Vegas. I've never seen Burrow get past the Chase team in round 6 until now. What I think happened is he noticed that he was there, and either this person without a badge just doesn't really get it, like really just wants Jalen Warren over Burrow there. You know, maybe that's a factor. But if I had to guess, they were willing to push it because usually there's not much incentive for the teams at 1 and 2 to take a Burrow unstacked in round 6 is pretty gross. It's definitely an overspend. So they just felt too confident, I guess, or they just didn't see it. But he was top of ADP. It was definitely just like, oh, I see you. I have Jamar Chase, and I do not want you. So, yeah, I didn't expect it, but this team is pretty fun. We have different bye weeks with Burrow and Mahomes as well, so I could stop at 2. And usually one of the problems from drafting from the 1 slot is your quarterback production. This team's pretty lit. This team's got some very high upside. I don't have a tight end yet. Kelce does go, so Chad says not going to let that happen. The mega stack in Kansas City will not be completed, but honestly, I think having all 3 might be a little overkill. I probably would have just taken it because it would have been exciting, but maybe overkill. Even just having 2 could already be overkill. But do you like the Arizona Vegas game week 17? Yeah, that one should be pretty good. I would say it's one of the more above average matchups you could target. I don't know if it's my favorite. I think it's a little overhyped, to be honest with you. When you look at the Cardinals defense on paper, they actually have some pretty good players. They have some weapons on defense. If they're healthy, at times they could be a potentially tough out on defense. They actually played pretty well. Wow. I have Matthew Golden well above ADP in my rankings. Yo, do I take Goff as well? I'm going to take Golden for sure. I kind of want to take Goff a little bit. What you mean could stop it to what do you think, Pepper Tony? Do I take Goff here at a big discount? A full round discount? It's pretty tempting. I kind of want to do it. It's between him and C-Rod. I'm going to do it because this is ambiguous. This is a fence level take here, Pepper Tony. I'm just going to take the unique build. I'm going to have a very, very strong quarterback room from the 101. That Kelsey stack will get you invited to the wedding shower. Perhaps. Perhaps. Here's the thing. If you said don't, Pepper Tony, I would have agreed with you. But you said don't, and I'm not sure if this is a typo on don't or do it. This is an ambiguous take. I blame you for not planting your flag. Because honestly, you could just say, shake my head regardless of what I do with this type of message. This is not a clear way to convey your desired outcome. Either don't or do it, but don't you say don't. I'm going to turn off my air conditioner. I will be right back. It was hot as fuck earlier, but we're chilling. Anyways, this team is fun. We got a 3-3-5-0. Receiver feels very, very complete, very strong. Love the Golden and Goff fall. This team just continues to get more and more unique. This lobby has given me some nice things. But running back also feels like it is capable of doing some major damage. We don't have a tight end yet. That could be the problem, though. But the next turn is where there's a massive value at that position. So I think we're in a good spot. I think we're chilling. But Burrow, Mahomes, and Goff, that trio is just fucking so good. Also, I love that even though I'm locked into Mahomes week 6, it's the week after the bye, and that's probably going to be the week where like he's unleashed to the public. You know, at full capability, Mahomes might have a slow September, but you're telling me the first week of October the team is on bye, and then week 6 Mahomes comes back. Who's he playing? I'm sure it's a fucking cakewalk. I'm sure the league gave him a cakewalk. I'm going to pull it up in another window. Let's get back to the board. In week 6, the Kansas City Chiefs will be hosting the Chargers. Perfect. The game in week 17 that I'm ecstatic to build out is also the game in week 6. Yeah, cakewalk. Fucking cakewalk. Here's the thing. I don't really trust the Chargers defense this year. I think if they don't make a run in the playoffs, it's going to be because their defense doesn't stop anyone. I feel like they're a couple injuries away from being a pretty mediocre defense if the coaching is not the same caliber as it was last year. And yeah, I think that game is more likely a big shootout rather than, you know, a low scoring game. They got swept by the Chargers last year. It's going to be an important aspect of like their comeback narrative. They have to compete against the Chargers. And I think splitting the series, getting the win at home is pretty important. So I think coming off the bye, honestly, whoever the opponent was going to be, I was probably going to like it. Other than like the Broncos, I think it would have been fine. But okay. This team kind of needs tight end badly. I kind of want to just take 2. I kind of just want to take Hunter Henry and Brenton Strange and just be done with it. I'm going to take 1. I'm going to lock in Hunter Henry, my highest ranked at the position. I do have him over Gadsden. Now, I have Mahomes. I have the mega Chargers Chiefs bet. The bring back is pretty tempting. And honestly, my receiver room feels good enough. I don't like the running backs here. I'm just going to take Gadsden for the bring back. I need a Charger ultimately. Surprise, I need a Charger. I'm happy to take him, though, given I need the position pretty badly. And the bet on Mike McDaniel's tight end is one you want to make. Historically, it's always been a good move. Except that year with, like, Durham Smythe. Like, that first year with Gesicki, I think there was a chance to do some damage, and he just said, nah, I'm not interested. But Jonnu Smith fucking crushed, and then Darren Waller was scoring touchdowns every week. So we hit Gadsden. Him versus Brenton Strange, an interesting argument, but ultimately, if Gadsden wins the job, there are fewer targets that will compete with him in the Chargers offense. Now, they probably run the ball a little bit more than the Jags, but in theory, Brenton Strange could still be the 5th target on the team. He's probably number 4. At best, he's number 3. Gadsden, as long as he wins the job, as long as he can stave off Njoku, I think they want him to be the number 3 target. I think that's what the contract to Njoku says. So he's more of an upside play. I don't think he's very consistent, but I think that I'm probably going to draft 3 tight ends on this one. Probably. I think with Gibbs, Travion, and Pollard, I can stop at 5 running backs. And I think with my receiver room, I can stop at 7 fairly comfortably. So I think that's the move. I think I probably need another tight end. I'm not totally sure if the week-to-week production of Henry and Gadsden will be enough. There will be some games where I think they could both not show up with like less than 5 points very easily. But they can also both spike with like 20 plus, and it's not the easiest thing to get this late in the draft, a 20 plus pointer at tight end. But we come around the turn. We are officially in the 14th round, and we'll see if my boy makes it, but I wouldn't expect Tank Bigsby to be available at 168. If he's there, I will take him. I'm going to let y'all know. Everyone watching, if you've watched before, if you were watching the first draft, you are very aware. I will take Tank Bigsby in round 14. But G to you as well, Brett. Yeah. Apologies. I've noticed I do have that issue sometimes. I will try to be better with it. But doint. Yeah. Jesse Minter, I just can't envision they replace him to even like 80%. I think the defense will not offer the same floor and reliability of years past. Now, Khalil Mack is a year older. They get Mesidor in the first round, so their pass rush should still be legit, but Khalil Mack broke his arm last year. Definitely could be an injury away. He's kind of old. And then if you told me like Derwin James went down, like that would be a nightmare. Like Derwin James is really holding that defense together. They have some other pieces. They have some players I trust, like Tony Jefferson's pretty legit. Deion Henley's pretty legit. They have some pieces for sure, but they are really being held together by Derwin James. Debo's still on the board here. I think I'm probably going to grab him. I think so, but I think first I'm going to take Tesla. I think getting Tesla stacked up with Goff makes some sense. I only have Gibbs up to this point. I didn't take JMO or Sam Laporta. Running back is pretty gross, though. If I take Debo, I could probably just stop. I do like Barner, but I think that sounds pretty solid. I think just stopping with Debo is not that bad because I'm not going to feel good about a Yoshivis backstack with Burrow. I'd rather go Mike Gesicki. There's no one other than Taekwon to stack with Mahomes, but I already have Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I think that's unnecessary. And then Goff needed a combo. Tesla made perfect sense there. Definitely the right pick, I think, with Tesla. But running back is still calling out for some help. We need 2 more running backs minimum. I think the next turn is there's possibly going to be some names I still like there, so I'm willing to push it. Bigsby did not make it. I got a shit ton of shares of Brian Robinson, Sean Tucker. It was not the most exciting thing for me to do. But stop at 3 running backs. That's also a way I could go about it. I don't think so. But Air Jeff says, I think Njoku's going to play a big role. There's a chance. There is a chance. Whoops, sorry about that. I did not mean to do that. The thing about Njoku, nobody really wanted him in like the entire free agency period. Nobody really wanted him. Then comes the draft, and all of the places that he's linked to don't get the tight end in the draft that really cements that they have a good depth chart. Like, look at the Ravens. They lose Isaiah Likely. They don't draft anyone. At least no one that we think can contribute year one. The Patriots draft someone that maybe is a developmental project, but doesn't really contribute very much. The Kevin Stefanski connection never materialized. They brought in Austin Hooper. They said no thanks with Njoku. The Commanders didn't want to pay him enough. The Commanders barely paid Rashad White, so the Commanders don't want to pay anyone, apparently. Maybe Njoku's just said, I want to play for a ring. I want to trust the system. I want to be in the Mike McDaniel offense, and that is enough for me. But the Chargers did have some open target share available, whether you play tight end or receiver. And the fact that they didn't bring in any receiver other than Njoku, they drafted Brandon Thompson, but otherwise it's just Charlie Kolar who's there to block. Maybe there is a window because Gadsden doesn't block very well. That is definitely a deficiency in his skill set. But then there's the contract they gave Njoku, a 1-year, $3 million deal. And there's no like extra major incentives. Last I checked, it's kind of hard capped at $3 million. I really worry about that. They are not incentivized to set up Njoku to overtake Gadsden. I think everything from week 1 is going to be set up in favor of Gadsden. And it's just a matter of if he can secure the baton being passed to him. I think as long as he handles the transition well, he will be the guy you need. And I think you do ultimately want the Chargers tight end. Could it be Njoku? It's possible, but I think it's going to be only happening if Gadsden fucks up or gets hurt. That's my take on it. I'd rather bet on Gadsden, but I take a lot of Njoku as well. I will take Katron here. Maybe I should take Njoku as well, but I think I'm going to go Terrence Ferguson because tight end in the next round is pretty much non-existent. The ADP is terrible. I do not want to get stuck with Mike Gesicki, honestly. I'm happy with my T. Higgins and Joe Burrow team. We'll go T-Ferg. Give me Terrence Ferguson and Gadsden better deliver week 11. I have a double bye with Henry and T-Ferg. Let's take a look at week 11. What is the matchup for the Chargers week 11? The Chargers will be hosting the New York Jets week 11. As long as Njoku does not win the job by then, we are probably going to get some points out of Oronde Gadsden. I would assume he can deliver against the New York Jets. Now, maybe that's a game where just the running game takes over. That's also possible, but at some point, they're going to want to mix in some other players, but that's going to be fun. Not a bad game. Should be a high-scoring affair. I think we get away with it. I think it's also a good time to bring in the music. I have not had that on for a minute. And I'm trying to scroll down, but that's actually as far as I can go. I have to move the I have to move this around actually. for the last 2 rounds. All right. The 3-4-7-3 with Gibbs, Henderson, Pollard, and Katron. I'm definitely taking one more running back. We'll see who it is, but it's going to be the last pick of the draft. It's definitely not going to be the most exciting, compelling bet you could imagine. But who knows? Maybe I strike gold with someone underrated, but ultimately trusting Gibbs to get me there. With Pollard, feels pretty good. In Gatorade distribution? Did your first message get, like, chopped off or something? Njoku's going to be on the field blocking and could score some touchdowns. I think he will factor in. I think he should be drafted. I don't think it's wise to leave him on the board there in the last round. You should have some bets on Njoku as well, but I think ultimately the higher upside bet is Gadsden, but then there's also like a very bad circumstance with Gadsden where like the floor is also just like pretty brutal because Njoku just could be the guy you need. But I think they'd like to develop Gadsden into the guy. Njoku is just there as a failsafe. But what do you think? Who do you think has a higher Raz, Gadsden or Kolar? I would guess Gadsden, but I could definitely see that not be the case. The Raz system tells you Ben Sennett is the next, coming of Jesus Christ or some shit. Like, the Raz system has been flawed, and Jaden Blue makes it back. I think I'll probably just take Jaden Blue. Really high upside. I could go Singleton in case Pollard goes down, but that doesn't feel like the best bet to make. You know what? Oh, I almost got him in. I almost got Taj Brooks, but Jaden Blue at 216 is pretty legit. That's not bad at all. That's fine. Totally fine with that. ADP has been rising 197. I almost took him with the last pick, so it was only going to be for the sake of the stack with Burrow there, but I feel pretty solid about the Jaden Blue selection. If he does deliver, it's worth it with the last pick, but almost pivoted there to Taj Brooks. I've been willing to take him, actually. I haven't done it yet, but I heard it recently. I've been willing to do it. Someone in the chat mentioned him, and I said, you know what? Maybe it's worth my time. But okay, I'm kind of behind on the chat. Let me try and catch up very quickly. McNick says, I think Njoku is pretty clearly the tight end 3 unless something changes. Probably, but I could see something change. I remember the video used to play every time someone picked Rashi Rice. Do you still have it? I do. However, I got flagged. I got demonetized for playing it. The song was too long, sadly. But I also think I was being a little too harsh. It's funny, but I think he's a fine pick. Nothing's going to happen to him. He's not getting suspended again this year. But I think Gadsden will get the volume and Njoku will get the touchdowns. We'll see. I could see a world where they both crush just at different times of the year. I think week 1, though, Gadsden's who they want to be the guy. Rams' three-headed tight end monster is a tough to figure out. Colby, Fergie, and Higbee could go off at any time. They can also kind of flop, but there's definitely upside. The Rams will use a lot of tight ends. But are you trying to suggest Ben Sennett is not the next coming of Jesus Christ? Doesn't sound right to me. I mean, if I ask the pastors, that might be sacrilegious, but that's what the Raz score would say. The Raz system fully endorsed Ben Sennett, but stay away from teams with 3 tight ends. Typically, that's wise. But when you're just shooting for upside, sometimes you gotta bite the bullet. I have Hunter Henry, though. Henry is pretty safe to finish top 15, if you ask me. I think Henry's one of the best picks at tight end. But I was just finishing the Njoku is going to play a big role in Gatorade distribution. Sentence for the previous guy. Yeah, there's also that possibility. He's just there for the ride. Maybe he gets a free ring out of it. This year, the Chargers have that chance. They have that ceiling. All right, let's recap the team. Let's tell you how it went. This one's fun. Another team that's really interesting. And from the 101, I will say I have not seen this combination of quarterbacks ever before. Maybe taking 3, though, was too much. But I think getting the value was the right call. We have a 3-5-7-3 with Burrow stacked up with T. Higgins, Patrick Mahomes double stacked with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and then Jared Goff is also double stacked with Jahmyr Gibbs and Isaac Tesla. But running back, like we mentioned, the 101 was Gibbs, always a strong room with him at the top. Travion for that elite league-winning ceiling. Tony Pollard for the underrated floor. All he was missing last year was touchdowns, but he had a lot of games with 90-plus yards from scrimmage. He was actually very productive from a yards standpoint, and I think he will maintain the job all year when healthy. But Katron probably gets the goal line work in this offense. I would assume that he's capable of doing that. But Jaden Blue, just the elite upside if anything happens to Javonte, a high-scoring offense, very potent, elite value if the starter goes down in the Cowboy system. So hoping for the best. Obviously, Gibbs needs to stay healthy. That's important. But if Gibbs goes down, then most of the 101 teams are going to fail pretty miserably. But receiver only has 7, but feels pretty solid. Rashee Rice could finish top 5. T. Higgins can be top 5 any week, but injuries usually hold him back. If he stays healthy, he's definitely worth the pull-up. It got unique, and it paid off with Burrow. But Devontae Adams, hindsight is always 2020. I wish I took J-Mo because we did end up with Jared Goff. We did end up taking Goff at 120, but didn't expect that at all. It's pretty rare that happens, so it is what it is. I don't mind it. Adams is still pretty valuable. Probably more consistent than J-Mo. Xavier Worthy for the double stack was pretty clutch. That felt pretty sweet. And then Golden also falling 10 picks. That was huge. I love Matthew Golden this year. I think he's an excellent bet. And then Tesla for the stack made a lot of sense. Right at ADP, pretty perfect. And then Deebo Samuel coming in clutch. Definitely going to sign somewhere and move up the board. So a strong value. I'm fine with these 7 receivers holding it down. But tight end, we waited quite a while and maybe reached on one of these guys, but I think justified to do so. Hunter Henry, I think, is undervalued. Oronde Gadsden, I think, has elite upside, but definitely a low floor. And then T. Ferg, the exact same thing. The year 2 breakout for these tight ends, hopefully, is what carries me. But this team is fun. The quarterback room is just so elite. I think I'm going to advance. As long as my running back room doesn't suffer a catastrophic injury, I think as long as Gibbs and Pollard stay healthy, I think I'm chilling. I think we're in good shape. Tight end, you can always push, doesn't need to be elite. And I have top 20, 20 plus point upside with all 3. Like there's a week where all 3 of these guys will just be a top 2 performer at the position because they score 2 touchdowns. But yeah, this team's really fun. Back-to-back teams, I really like. This is a fun day. I'm excited. July 6th, we got some good luck today on Monday. But who do you think had higher production in college, Gadsden or Kolar? Asked Pepper Tony. Probably the trick question is going to say Kolar, but you know what? I'm going to just trust Oronde Gadsden. I believe Gadsden had a very good year last season. If I do recall, he played very well. I'm going to go Gadsden, but I could definitely be wrong on that. Slayden just got in from work. Good to see you streaming. Appreciate that, Slayden. Thank you for popping in. And we've been live how long? An hour and a half. We're going to be drafting one more. The poll is still heavily favoring the Chihuahua. And although it's kind of evened out a little bit, it's still way more in favor. I will close it. We'll enter a new poll, and I'll remove the Marathon or Golden. I'll put it down to just 2 for draft number 4. But I got some time. We're moving kind of quickly, and it's time for some team reviews. But we'll probably draft 4 tonight. But old tight ends get hurt a lot. At least with Hunter Henry, it was the opposite. Hunter Henry mostly got hurt when he was young. Lately, he's been staying healthy. I'm not a Kolar bull for the record, but it's possible your question probably points to Charlie Kolar. I think the people hyping Charlie Kolar are just trolling you. I think they're trolling. The sidekick or whatever suggestion coming from whatever ranking system that has Charlie Kolar as a relevant piece is, I think, just a way to troll you. Like, legitimately, I don't understand it at all. If that's what happens, I'm going to be so fucking mad that they were right, but I really don't see it. But Sladen, I'm out of Wawa, so hoping Superflex, but we'll cheer on anything. Maybe we open up a Superflex for the next one. But all right, any members in this one? We had Game Tight Niners fan in here. Otherwise, though, I don't think anybody else was a member. Possibly Rezdog. Yo, Rezdog. I know you've drafted with us before. Forgive me if I'm mistaken. Sometimes I lose track of how many individuals are members. If Rezdog is a member, please leave a message in the chat so that I can get to your team review. But I will get to the ones I know for sure have paid for it. So we got Game Tight in here again. We got Baker at 115, Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. So the double Vegas with Genty and Brock Bowers. Honestly, to be committed that much to those two, I think it makes sense to just have both Raiders quarterbacks. I think so. But all right, Julius is a member. Appreciate that, Rezdog. You'll get a team review as well. Thank you very much. So quarterback's very interesting. I think it's a fair bet, definitely given the Genty and Bowers. We mentioned that at pick 6. He got different with Genty and then took Bowers in the second. He's got Travis Scatterbo, Quinshawn, and Brian Robinson. So that was also 4 running backs in the first 5 rounds. He did not take receiver until Marvin Harrison. This team was always going to be unique from the jump. But we got Chris Godwin as wide receiver 2, Josh Downs number 3, Casey Concepcion number 4, Shaheed number 5, Travis Hunter number 6, Dijon Stribling, and Ted Hurst. Honestly, it came together okay. Harrison is just so disgusting. That is ultimately what probably craters the team. Harrison is probably a bust yet again. Probably not worth the bet. That's possibly what kills you. But honestly, I don't hate it. Shaheed typically is my 5th. Feels pretty solid. Downs is really important to hit. Godwin obviously has to stay healthy. And then the rookie breakout on Concepcion is important. But if Hunter delivers, then you're definitely in business. Tight end is also elite with the double Bowers and Laporta. No issue there. It's just like, can these quarterbacks actually work? And will receiver find the points? The upside is definitely missing at times. Like Downs and Godwin, when they don't score a touchdown, are just like 8-9 points in the bank. Not always more than 11. There's going to be some mid weeks if you don't get touchdowns out of the depth chart. But the double stack, Godwin and Ted Hurst with Baker, pretty legit. Fun team. Obviously, if the Raiders don't deliver, you're screwed. So good luck. The Raiders bet is worth doing on occasion. I don't mind it. But we got Rezdog in here. I believe Chad was in the last one, so we'll go Rezdog first. Caleb Stafford and CJ Stroud. This is not the team with Jamar Chase. I was going to say, are you the one that let me have Burrow? You are not. You have Caleb paired up with Swift. Only paired up with Swift. Interesting. Typically, the Caleb drafters usually have a bigger stack than just Swift. But I suppose it's something. It's definitely something. We got Stafford and CJ Stroud. So the 3 QB build typically checks out 3-5-7-3 with Kyron, Dave Montgomery, Swift, Emmett Johnson, and Ray Davis. The receiver room, double elite with Puka. Drake London gets back in round 7 with QJ. Jacoby Myers falls to 117. That's possibly the savior pick on this team. Myers coming in clutch here. And then Jaden Higgins, don't love it, but stacked up with Stroud, I suppose it's all right. Trey Tucker at 148 is fine. Should be legit. And then Tank Dell also completes a double stack. Not the most exciting, but Tucker Kraft, Dalton Schultz stacks up, and then TJ Hawkinson. I would pick someone else other than Hawkinson. I would have made Hawkinson a receiver probably, or a running back. I think running back is probably fine. Quarterback's totally fine. I think I'd make Hawkinson a receiver because Kraft gives you that luxury. You also got him at a big discount, pick 93 overall. Yeah, I think I might have leaned into that because Hawkinson does not stack up at all. You don't have Kyler. There's no bring back either. So this Hawkinson pick is kind of just random. I do not like the Hawkinson pick. Structurally, I think I'd rather have wide receiver 8 than TJ Hawkinson. But Tank Dell in the last round. Okay, that's a pretty nice fall on Tank Dell. I understand why you took him there. Not too shabby, but you risked it. You were not guaranteed to get him stacked up at all. And also, he could just suck. He could be a bad pick. So receiver is a little thin. You have London and Puka, though, so you probably don't give a shit. Probably worth risking. All right. We mentioned Chad in here as well. Niners fan 05, our last team review, and then one more Chihuahua. We got Lamar Jackson, Bo Nix, and Aaron Rodgers. Excellent at QB. Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, C-Rod, and Tank Bigsby. Love it at running back. We got Zay Flowers, Mike Evans, Mekhi Lemon, the bring back in Philly and San Fran. Sutton's on this team with Bo Nix. Excellent. Pick 90 is a very, very good price. And then we got Omar Cooper, Jeremy Bernard, and Troy Franklin. So the receiver depth falls off quickly, and honestly, it's not the best up top. Flowers could still suck in terms of touchdown production, but he is stacked. Evans, will get hurt with the substation and his track record, his age. He will miss at least 3 games. That's kind of a lock. But Lemon is a pretty big bet on this team. I think his rookie season is important, but then Sutton kind of saves you. I'm a little worried you don't get very much, though, out of these 3. But tight end, you took Kelsey at 114, Andrews, and Freiermuth. Definitely gets it done, but more of a floor play strategy at the position. There will be some spike weeks, though, pretty touchdown dependent. Not very many yards to lead you to the promised land. But yeah, only receiver depth is the concern. Tight end is totally checking out for sure. So it's just like, did you need 3 quarterbacks after going Lamar and Bo Nix? Maybe not. Especially when you factor in Rodgers is backstacked with Bernard and Freiermuth. Like, it is not that critical. I don't think this team needs Rodgers. I don't think so. He's right at ADP. It wasn't a fall. You didn't set up the bring back or the stacks earlier. And I think receiver is a little bit mid. One more name I think would make me feel better. So, yeah, I think Rodgers was actually a luxury pick that just, it helps you. It's not terrible, but how often does it actually hit the lineup with Nix and Lamar Jackson? It may be not enough if receiver suffers an injury to save you. But ultimately, that's a minor inconvenience. It's probably going to check out. Definitely has the nuts to compete. Good luck with CMC and Henry staying healthy. Okay. We mentioned the Chihuahua. I'll give y'all a minute to get situated. I'm going to take a rip from the pipe. And then when I come back, I will give a very quick countdown. And then I'm going to get some water. And we'll be drafting our next Chihuahua. But first, let's take a rip from the pipe. Drafting the Chihuahua. Chihuahua. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, maybe you got in the pre-flow, but there are 9 spots available. Come in if you'd like. I will be right back. I'm going to get some water. I get the 102. Excellent. We just built out a really fun team from the 101. Going to implement a similar strategy, but with definitely different players. At least Bijan should be different. If T-Clones wanted to leave Gibbs for me, would have been fine with that, but Bijan allows me to take some similar picks as last time, but have ultimately a much different bet with our RB1. Love it. Love the 102. If I'm going to be stuck on the left side, give me pick 2 or pick 1. But T-Clones at the 101, Spurs. Anthony got in here at the 103. He took Jamar Chase. Rezdog in here again takes Puka. Jackson Duffy on the clock. I assume goes JSN, but might be thinking it through. Goes somewhere else. He takes JSN. We got Peyton the Legend Manning. What's up? We got Air Jeff in here at the 7. Mumu 88 at pick 8. Snowdog 16 at the 109. And then Bellman, Game Tight, and Beck 27. Welcome in, everyone. Good luck. We got 2 people advancing. I hope one of them makes the final from this lobby. I mean, like, really? We trust the depth chart right now when, like, Kolar is very clearly, like, a blocker? Like, I just don't see it. Even if he's the starter, like, I don't believe he's running the most routes. I want the guy that runs the most routes. And, like, just because you have the first snap at the position, like, if anything, if Kolar starts the game, the first snap is probably a run. You know, Hampton's probably getting the ball when Kolar starts the game. Will he get the first target at the position? That's a massive debate. I don't think so. I don't believe it. I'd be pretty shocked if that's what ends up happening. I think there was enough in the tank there from Gadsden to really show something, and maybe Kolar is also running a bunch of routes, but I think he's there to block. I think they only want to run 2 receivers most of the time, and they want 2 tight ends on the field. Kolar's going to be there very consistently, but he's not running routes the same way as the other 2. A-Rod, the talent is there for Marvin Harrison, so I think it's worth a swing. You know what? I've actually been coming around to it and thinking maybe I've faded him a little too much, but it still feels gross. I think he can fall a little further, but him versus BTJ, you know, last year we took BTJ in the 1-2 turn. The year before that, it was Harrison. Neither of them played well when they went that high. Maybe it's worth it, but yo, Bowers is here? Okay, we'll go Bijan and Bowers. I'll do that. Yeah. 3-pick fall on Bowers. I'm not going to let him go to the Gibbs drafter. Let's do that. I'm fine with that. If Harrison plays all season, I can see good outcomes for him. I doubt it. There are some games where he can drop like 15 plus. That does happen on occasion. I will give him that. But Rashee Rice still available. Definitely my highest ranked. Absolutely want him over Jeremiah. So this team is definitely already different. We get the elite tight end. Don't do it too often, but at a discount, definitely worth it. Bijan, Bowers, Rashee Rice. Now the only problem is sometimes Loveland is just staring you down the barrel, like right at pick 47. Again at pick 50. And it's like, it is a very, very good pick to take Loveland here. But especially with Bowers, I don't think I'm going to do it. I do not want to build out a bully tight end. I really don't. I think it's overkill. Don't think the team that will win is going to be bully tight end. But his dad was a baller. What's interesting about Marvin Harrison Jr., and maybe this is just superstition. Maybe this is just like really reading too much into the tea leaves. Perhaps I shouldn't even mention this. But his first year in the league was almost identical to his dad's. Statistics-wise, those 2 years are so close together. It's like 860 yards and I think 8 touchdowns. Either 8 or 6 touchdowns. Year 1. Now, Junior had an extra game, but the catch numbers were like within like 3 of each other. The yards was in like 20 of each other. They were both like 860 and 8 touchdowns, basically, year 1. His dad didn't have the best year 2. Year 3 was derailed by injury. And basically, that's what fucked up Harrison last year. Injury was really a problem. His dad was never the Marvin Harrison that we know as the Hall of Famer until year 4, where he took a massive leap as a All-Pro only when they drafted Peyton Manning. He needed the quarterback to have that career. So I think next year is going to be the true test for Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that's going to be the contract year where he's incentivized to get paid. Ultimately, I think that's all he really cares about. He didn't give a shit about the combine. He was still drafted top 5. He doesn't really... Honestly, if you pull up pictures of Marvin Harrison Jr. on Google Images, he's like never smiling. He never looks happy. He's always like pouting. He's always kind of moping around. Like, he has a very nonchalant, very like unenthused look on his face all the time. When you pull up pictures of him in college, he's smiling a lot. He does not look like he's happy in Arizona. So he's probably a spoiled brat. Grew up pretty wealthy. Went to Ohio State, kind of just walked into the NFL. And like, I think until he's kind of like tested mentally, I don't think he's going to be forcing himself to go the extra mile. All right. Back on the clock. I've kind of told myself recently, when Burden is at the top ADP, he's fallen 5 picks here. I'm just going to take him. I would assume TX clones will probably do that. If I don't, give him 2 cracks at top of ADP. You need receiver. You're probably just grabbing Burden. So I'll take him. He goes Bucky Irving. I told myself by taking Bijan, I have the carte blanche to do some repeat picks. We got Bijan, Burden, and Bowers. That's different, but repeating on Rashee Rice and Travion Henderson, just truly elite upside. But okay, maybe the Travion Henderson bet is maybe not the best move with Bijan, just because they have the same bye in week 11. It's not the end of the world, but now maybe my running back 4 has to be a little bit better than the last teams had. And I wasn't really planning to go 3 quarterbacks on the last one, so if anything, we can definitely afford to do that if I don't take 3 early quarterbacks once again. I'd be pretty shocked if I get the same 3 quarterbacks as last time. Like, let's just swap out Caleb with Burrow. Obviously, I'm not going to try to take Burrow on this one. Had I not gotten Bowers, I probably would have gotten Rashee Rice and T. Higgins again. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded that at all. But with Bowers there, definitely makes it a much different team overall. But Superflex Pro, easy to get a room of friends and family. Superflex Con, easy to get a room of friends and family. Yeah, there's also that. But I mentioned I was going to get rid of this poll and set up a new one. Okay. Draft number 4. Chihuahua or the Superflex. It's down to 2 options this time. We're not offering the Golden or the Marathon. Seems like you guys don't want those 2. The poll is live. Let's see what you guys decide. BTJ and Harrison Jr. look like they can smash ADP price. It's possible. If there's one I'd rather bet on, it's definitely BTJ in Jacksonville, though. But MC Spears, I can't vote. I vote Superflex Draft. Superflex. Sladen says, Ringer Fantasy Show today noted that Mike Evans has officially made an injury report for hamstring-related issues every year since 2019. Yeah, 3 games is the minimum missed time for Mike Evans. Just lock it in. I think Team 8, who took him as wide receiver 4, is a team that's built to accommodate that. But do you really want to start 4 receivers every time you take Evans. That's not great. So he's fine in the 4th round. I think I'd rather have Jalen Waddle, though, who also has injury concerns. If you really only care about injury concerns, McLaurin also missed some time last year. Neighbors is a question mark. Adams is kind of old, but yeah, injury concerns are the main problem, main red flag in the 4th round. I am on the clock. The prices aren't the best. Even Tony Pollard is gone. Damn it. I mean, you guys are mentioning him. I never... They could really fuck up the team, though. I'll go Parker... No, fuck. Yeah, I hate it. I already hate it. Fuck. I might have just tanked a really good fucking team. Damn it. Damn it. It's different. It's different. I have been telling myself I need a few more shares of Marvin Harrison, but I prefer Quentin Johnston, honestly. All right, we'll see what happens here, but damn it. I think I'm just going to take Jalen Warren. I could go P-Wash, though. Fine. I'll go Jalen Warren. Tough turn to be at the 6-7 when you don't have the quarterback. When you don't have the stack available, the 6-7 turn is pretty gross. That's where, like, QJ is kind of a default there now for me because, like, well, it opens the door to just go Herbert. You know, I'm not going to dislike the team when I have Herbert. And we had Rashee Rice, so the bring back makes sense. It wouldn't have been bad. I don't have a ton of Bowers team, so getting another Herbert investment. A Herbert Bijan team might be a little bit different. Herbert, Bijan, Bowers. Maybe I should have gone with QJ and Herbert there. But I got a lot of that already. Good evening, Bunt. It's smoke time. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm way behind on the chat. Let's do it. Let me scroll down as well. Cleared the bowl on that one, but CMC went pick 5 in this one. No, he went pick 10. CMC pick 10 is pretty legit. Pretty legit. Why don't you like pick 4 and 5? I like the chance of getting the falling round 2 RB with JSN or Puka. At pick 4 and 5, you almost never get the falling running back in round 2. It almost never happens. On occasion it happens, but it's not very reliable, and it's usually the same 2 names. It's either Henry or maybe Achane, on occasion Chase Brown, but like it's never a Hampton, it's never a Saquon. Maybe not these days. It doesn't happen anymore, but I don't like it. And I don't like taking Jeremiah Love or Breece Hall. If you're in line with ADP and you draft the running backs to the 2-3 turn from the 3, the 4, the 5, it feels gross. It feels disgusting. But yeah, the odd touchdown, he'll probably have like 3 random touchdowns, maybe 2, maybe none, probably none. I don't really worry about Charlie Kolar. He's not really on my radar, to be honest with you. But I think we had a 6-star. I think the Harrison pick is just fuck. Damn it. I wish I didn't take Harrison. But his dad did murder someone. Did he? I didn't know this. Allegedly. I have no idea about this. Choked the ball boy before a playoff game and again attacked the team. I have no idea. I don't know about this, man. The NFL used to be a much different sport. I mean, we still got some, convicts that play, but like, the bar for like stand-up human being, actual role model is pretty low when it comes to the NFL. But Mahomes is still here, so we built that out the first time. We're not going to get the Xavier Worthy double, but taking Mahomes for sure a bet I can make. I'm worried that if I leave him, that team is just like, oh, I can get Kelsey in the next round, and they snipe me. Like, as much as I want to take Josh Downs there, I don't think he makes it back. I think this team probably double taps the position. Maybe they go Purdy and Pearsall. They just took Purdy. Maybe. He doesn't have Evans, so it's possible. If I get Downs, I'm going to be ecstatic. Because Burden is a little scary. Wow, I do get Downs. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Pick 98, Josh Downs. It's been a minute since he's going there. We have the elite tight end in Bowers. So if I get Kelsey at the next turn, it's going to be excellent. I highly doubt I get a value like Jared Goff at the next turn. So possibly my overconfidence with quarterback might strike again. But ultimately, we're also going to have access to Daniel Jones. That's a pretty decent stack to acquire. If the Tyler Warren drafter passes, we'll probably get him. Alec Pierce, though, did go to the team at 6. Or, no, they're at 5. Pick 5. We'll see. But in the next round, if I get any of these quarterbacks to make it back, I'm going to be pretty happy. We did get Baker at 130 earlier. So, stranger things have happened. Goff was there at 120. Watch there be another faller at quarterback for us to take. But Everyone Flux Burden's upside is so high. I am extremely far behind in the chat. But yeah, his upside is there. I don't know about the floor. I don't feel like the consistent production for Burden is going to be there week to week. But Pepper Tony, trying to act like you're not eyeing up another 3 quarterback build. I might be. I might. I think this team with just Bowers, you know, Mendoza's an option as well. But Game Tight says, love this team with Harrison. If you believe in Harrison, then yeah, there's reason to be optimistic. But mixing him in never feels appropriate. I think because the price on QJ has just been so inflated now, it's more reasonable not to keep pushing him up the board and just take who's there at ADP. But we'll see. We'll see. Jack Dog, is Trey Tucker an acceptable receiver 5? I prefer receiver 6. But if that's what you end up with, it's not the end of the world. I think he's a better suited receiver 6. I think he's more like spike week driven. I don't think he'll hit the lineup with like any floor weeks. I think it's got like touchdown or bust for Trey Tucker. And like if he gives you 40 plus yards in a week, that's kind of like a good showing from him. So there's going to be a few games where he just like explodes and like all of a sudden, wow, why did Trey Tucker get 12 targets this week? The team just really locked up Brock Bowers, but I don't think he's going to consistently give you 50 plus yards. So wide receiver 6, I think is more valuable than 5, but Kyler makes it back. Fuck yeah. I'll take Kyler. Fuck yeah. This team has Kraft, so they might not take Kelsey. I think an excuse to not take Kelsey there is valid. But Bijan, Travion, and Jalen Warren. I mentioned I might want a good RB4, though. And Kelsey does go. Okay, actually, this saves me. I don't need to overcommit to the Chiefs double stack. I think just taking Chris Rodriguez here. Living. We're in great shape here. I think I'm going to stop with Mahomes and Kyler. I think I can stop with 2 tight ends. I might take Mendoza. I'll probably consider Christian Kirk, though, because I got a week 5 bye with Mahomes. I got a week 6 bye with Kyler. I think I can totally get away with it, but maybe having Kirk is more valuable. I think Kirk is more likely to hit the lineup in one of those 2 weeks. we could get a dud out of Kyler week 5, and then maybe the Chargers defense does lock up Mahomes week 6. Maybe. But then in the fantasy playoffs, having Kirk Cousins is probably worthless. Some things to consider there, but the falling price on Kyler, excellent. Excellent. You also don't need to stack up Kyler. The rushing value speaks for itself. But Darnell Washington, positive touchdown regression will feed families. If that happens and he outperforms Pat Freiermuth, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed if I'm wrong on that. But the poll is very interesting. We only have 7 votes in the poll, but the poll started off overwhelmingly in favor of the Chihuahua. It has slowly dwindled, and the poll is currently in favor of Superflex at the moment. If the poll ended right now, we would be drafting a Superflex team. So if you want to lock that in, the margin is only 1 vote. So hit Superflex. The vote is actually tied now. Somebody came in and tied it up. If you want to decide our next draft, vote now. At the moment, you are swaying the decision. Pepper Tony has no preference. He's not going to enter the lobby, so he don't mind. He just wants the content. It is such a luxury to have Bowers, I will say. Like, to not be worried about the run on tight end that just happened. Even Okonkwo went off the board. To get stuck with another Hunter Henry or Gadsden team would be kind of disappointing. I think I'll take Jalen McMillan. The guy I kind of prefer the most. We have 4 running backs already. I'll take Jalen. I think I need some receiver points most desperately. And I might go Juwan Jennings just because it would stack up. He's not going to circle back. I don't have many shares of him. I very rarely take Juwan. If I do, it's usually after ADP. But if he's going to fall, it's usually like 158, 160. It's not usually to 167, 168, 170. That'd be pretty shocking. So I don't need tight end. I like Trey Tucker a lot. That would set up the... Actually, I ran out of time. We stick with Juwan Jennings. It's at least the quarterback investment I've already made. You know, at the moment, I don't have the Raiders quarterback. I wouldn't mind building a team that didn't need the Raiders quarterback. But there's also no guarantee I will get it as well. The Genty drafter could snipe me. The Trey Tucker or Jalen Naylor drafter could snipe me. If I set up Trey Tucker unstacked, while maybe it's actually the better pick, it's also not as guaranteed to be worth it. Getting the stack, I think, is probably a solid move there. So a 2-4-6-1 with Bowers. Our quarterbacks are Mahomes and Kyler. We might go Mendoza. We might even take Christian Kirk, but it's definitely going to be the last round if that's the case. But running back is popping off with Bijan, Travion Henderson, Jalen Warren, and Chris Rodriguez. I like the Travion-Jalen Warren combo. The floor of Jalen Warren paired up with the volatility but the elite upside of Travion Henderson. And then just the bet that Chris Rodriguez is healthier than this ADP would suggest. The lobby has gotten scared on C-Rod. The market has let him fall. I don't think he's a player you want to sleep on. I think his role in the goal line will be pretty consistent as long as he's healthy. So happy to have him as RB4. I think he's one of the last I'm comfortable with. Very productive offense. Definitely the number 2, but he's shown that he doesn't need to be the bell cow to have value. Touchdown production spoke for itself last year. And I think it'll be even more valuable in Jacksonville. But Jack Dog, I'm smoking bongs and drafting Mania squads. Glad I found your channel. I wish I was drafting BBM all the time. I wish I had the budget to max BBM. Not one of those guys yet. Maybe next year. But cheers to you, bro. Cheers to you. Cheers to everyone watching that puts up with my lack of scrolling. You want to see the bottom of the board, and I cut it off with the chat comments. I have flaws as a streamer, I will say. I still think I can get significantly better in multiple aspects, whether it be what I just mentioned. Keeping up with the chat is another thing. Sometimes I get way sidetracked and really fall behind. Jackson Duffy takes Mendoza, stacks him up with Naylor. As expected, it wasn't a lock, so had I gone Trey Tucker, it would not have been rewarded in the same way as just locking up Juwan Jennings with Kyler. But around this turn, I could go TJ Hawkinson if I really want to. That's an option. I'm not going to take Jonah Coleman. I think I'd rather go Debo in terms of the whiteouts. None of them are that inspiring. I think I will. I think I'll just take Debo. Not going to land in Minnesota. Wouldn't expect him in Kansas City, but expect him to sign somewhere. And once he does, he will be worth more than 167. That is for sure. I don't really understand it. Same with Diggs. It feels like we all say this. I feel like every streamer says this, but like they just keep falling down the board, if anything. It's really weird. Hawkinson, oh, got sniped. Okay. Thanks. I didn't really want him. Shit. 4 seconds. I took AJ Barner. Had I gotten Kenyon Sadiq there, I would have really regretted it because they both have week 13 buys. Him and Brock Bowers. So, for the sake of touchdowns, I think Barner has a higher ceiling. Dalton Schultz has a much higher floor, but I don't think that's what I'm chasing. Look at the touchdown production in Houston. 3 touchdowns last year, 2 touchdowns the year prior. Despite a shit ton of targets, Dalton Schultz doesn't hit the end zone very often. Barner had 7 total touchdowns last year and also offers the tush-push role in Seattle. If I am looking for upside, I think it's Barner a little bit more often than Brock Bowers. In full PPR, give me Dalton Schultz. In half PPR, I will take AJ Barner. I wasn't going to take Hawkinson over Debo. He got sniped. And then Noah Gray is not on my radar. I will leave that alone. I'll take AJ Barner. This is also a pocket of the draft where that 16-17 turn is no longer a safe bet on the tight ends to make it back to you. I think the market has wised up pretty well. I think most people kind of want the 3 tight end build because they're just so affordable super late. And even if you have Bowers, having 3 isn't like the end of the world. But okay, my team is coming together. I have 7 receivers already. I feel like I caught up pretty quickly. Interesting bet. They almost all have a red jersey on, so my logo has a red shirt. This is an interesting team. Kyler still has not been updated to his actual purple jersey. So Mahomes, Kyler, quarterback feels pretty interesting. Bijan, Travion, Jalen Warren, and Chris Rodriguez, we are in business. And then receiver, the depth covers some of the concerns. The lack of floor with Burden and Harrison is questionable, but a very high floor play with Josh Downs. McMillan, high spike week capabilities. Juwan for the stack. And then Debo, probably good floor play. We got Rashee Rice holding it down, stacked up with Mahomes. Probably a top 6 receiver this year. Like, if he stays healthy, if Mahomes is there all season, he's probably at worst like receiver 10, maybe even top 5. He's done it before. He's a really good value. The running back depth can afford some investments right here. So I think getting Katron, one of my boys, is the move. I think I'd rather have Katron than Ray Davis. As much as I like Ray Davis, I'm fine passing. Braylon Allen goes. Elijah Surratt goes. Bernard is not bad. There's no bring back I'm really dying to have, so I'm not totally sure where I'm going to go in the next round, but I think having wide receiver 8 is definitely something I want. I'm stopping at 2 tight ends. I might stop at 2 quarterbacks. I'm not sure if I will stop at 5 running backs yet, but I think I can if I want to. With C-Rod, I think I definitely can. In terms of depth, I think it checks out. Plus, I got Bijan, so we're all set. We're all set at running back. No issue there. Tight end, gonna hit my flex on occasion, but most of the time we just have Bowers there. Receiver, though, I think has filled out nicely enough to call it done. Brissett goes, so not gonna draft him. We could go Carson Beck. That's also an option. I suppose that's an option. But we got our double stack with Mahomes, the Tyquan Thornton pick. Always kind of fun. Expecting like 3 or 4 usable games out of him as well. Deep target. The number 3 in Kansas City, kind of unquestioned as well. Hollywood Brown is not being replaced by anyone other than Tyquan. And maybe Jalen Royals? Like, other than Jalen Royals, who else is replacing Hollywood Brown? It is a pretty viable bet, honestly. It makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to go Brandon Thompson again. Not going to do that. But Liam Cohen, Coach C-Rod in college, going to be a thing this year for sure, says Jack Dog. I would say so. The $6 million is also triple what Rashad White got paid. The money speaks for itself. It's almost on the same lines as Tyler Algier, but we draft Algier at 161. Maybe the money doesn't really mean much when you really think about it, but it's kind of just like, is this team good? Yeah, they're actually a Super Bowl contender. Is their running back room established above him? No, not at all. Last year, the clear number 1 is now on a different team. And it's not like Baishal Tootin looked good. He ran for like 3.6 yards per carry. Baishal Tootin kind of played like shit. He was not very effective, but he did have a role on the goal line, which means that either he's completely taking over in that role, or Liam Cohen just likes to use multiple backs on the goal line. Historically, that's definitely checked out. Been the case in Tampa, and I expect C-Rod to have a very consistent role to what he looked like last year in Washington. And even if we only get like 13 carries a game, he's not going to catch more than 1 reception, just to keep the defense honest, not because it's part of his skill set. It's just like, all right, you're not expecting this random reception to C-Rod. Let's throw it out you in like the first quarter, because it's like, what? What the fuck is this? How the fuck did C-Rod just get open and pick up a first down? And now you're going to feel the need to cover it the rest of the game, and they will use this against you. This is how you use a running back like Chris Rodriguez. 1 reception in the first half, out of nowhere, ideally in the first drive. After you do it 3 weeks in a row, you're going to push it to the second quarter. Just not to get burned. Not to be too obvious. All right. The decision here is between Kirk Cousins and a running back. Maybe Kimani Vidal for the bring back. Honestly, it doesn't feel like compelling. I'm going Kirk Cousins. Fuck it. I mentioned it. I'm not sure if Mendoza actually helps this team as much as Kirk Cousins because I have the week 5 and the week 6 bye. If I get a dud out of either of them in that week and Cousins blows up, who is Cousins playing? Let me check. Week 5, Kirk Chains is playing the... Where is it? He will be at the New England Patriots. That's not the best spot to be in. But last year, Geno Smith beat the New England Patriots week 1. One of the few Raiders wins was against the New England Patriots, who made the Super Bowl. Geno Smith threw for well over 300 yards. Brock Bowers had well over 100 yards in that game. And even Jacoby Myers fucking crushed. So that could be an excellent spot. Gillette Stadium in October, not going to be a weather issue. So that's interesting. And then week 6, in case Mahomes puts up a dud, the Raiders are hosting Buffalo. That's going to be a sweet spot as well. Definitely garbage time, if not a shootout potential. So, you know what? I think it actually helps me a little bit more. I think if it does hit my lineup from the Raiders quarterback, it's more likely to contribute one of those 2 weeks than down the stretch. Maybe you want the guy in the playoff weeks, but maybe Mendoza gets red-shirted all year. I can't imagine that happens. It's more likely he gets hurt and then Cousins just comes back in at quarterback. But I think in weeks 5 and 6, if I really need it, I think that'll help me. Plus, Mahomes could really start slow. I do really worry about Mahomes early season. I think the week 5 bye is actually a gift by the NFL schedule makers for the Chiefs, specifically for Mahomes. I think they're doing him a favor, giving him the earliest possible bye and the first month of the year. Maybe they actually rely on Justin Fields a little bit more than expected. So maybe he actually has a slow start, isn't as effective. Maybe they really lean on Ken Walker, and Cousins actually just helps me out early season. I think that is possible to matter. But that last pick felt like it could have really gone any direction. Even a third tight end I don't think would have been brutal. But taking another Jaden Blueshare, not dying to do it. Running back is kind of a wash. Like maybe one of those Niners picks just needs to be taken every time. But having Bijan, Travion Henderson, Warren, Chris Rodriguez, and Katron I think is all right. I'm not afraid of it. And then receiver was built out well enough. Tight end is checking out. Quarterback, that's the only flaw I can think of. Early season production without Mahomes at 100%. And Kyler with maybe some learning curves, some bumps in the road, maybe before the bye. It's just maybe not excellent. And Cousins actually hitting the lineup instead of Mendoza on the bench those weeks. So, fun team, pretty legit, interesting. It's different than the other one as well. But both of them relied on Mahomes in the late 8th round. I think it's a pretty clutch pick. Love the Mahomes value this year. I think if you don't like Mahomes' price this year, you're just like not paying attention to his true value. Like you might just be a hater if you don't think Mahomes is a good click at 95. All right, we got Julius with ran out of time on the Sadiq pick. Bummer. That's never fun to run out of time and get a jet. Never ideal. But Air Jeff took a gummy. I didn't realize I was in your lobby until the 3rd round. Yo. I mean, were you just auto drafting at that point, or did you just not know that this was the lobby? All right, let's take a look. We have Res Dog in here. That's Julius. He took Sadiq at 172. Let's take a look at his roster. There was also Game Tight in this lobby. I think those are the only 2 members of the blunt rotation. And for the sake of time, I think I might just move on to draft number 3. We're already at 2 hours, 25 minutes on the broadcast. If we enter our next lobby pretty soon, I think I won't go over 3 hours too much. But let's take a look at ResDog and game type. ResDog from the 104 has Stafford, Rodgers, and Brissett. The Brissett pick is unstacked. Don't really get it. I suppose early season he has some juice, but like he will get benched earlier than you think. I think by week 7, if Brissett's not benched, it's kind of a shocker. They're going to be 1-6 like max, if you ask me. But Travis Achan, Cam Scatterbo, Tony Pollard, Blake Corum, and Jordan Mason. Pretty decent. The double week 8 bye from Travis and Scatterbo. So having 5 by Mason feels decent, but they're all kind of like floor plays, plus Corum's just a handcuff. So I guess Scatterbo's not a floor play. Not at all. Honestly, this is a very interesting running back room. It feels expensive, though, for what you're actually getting. I love the Travis, Scatterbo, and Pollard clicks in a vacuum. But then investing again with Corum and Mason by the, what is this, 11th round? I believe so. It's a little expensive. That's why quarterback isn't insanely, flashy. Stafford, Rodgers, Brissett might be excellent values, but not flashy at all. Only 6 receivers is always risky. Puka, AJ Brown, Adams. So the double stack with Stafford very much locked into that offense. P-Wash, Shakir, and Judy. Gross. These two are gross. I guess Shakir at 141 is a value, but not enough to stop at 6 with Judy. You're really, really depending on these 4. Staying healthy, in my opinion. Kittle, Gadsden, Sadiq, and Tonjes. I just don't think you need 4. Kittle and Tonjes I get, but I think once you auto-click Sadiq, this Tonjes pick becomes a little unnecessary. And it makes the Gadsden pick kind of show its true colors. Like, how much do you really trust it? So, yeah, I think this team kind of fell apart down the stretch. Just a little bit odd. Obviously, the auto-click is never fun. I see the vision, I see like the trajectory, but I feel like this is just kind of disappointing. But then this is just so good. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it checks out because tight end can also hit the flex. You got a bunch of options. And then running back ultimately is strong enough. If Brissett starts longer than I expect, then maybe he hits the ceiling. But Rodgers a big floor play. Stafford also kind of a big floor play. Just like higher end floor play. And then Brissett, major gamble. Super cheap though. Good luck. It's not terrible, but it feels weird. If this is what you need to win, it would kind of feel shocking. Like the running backs I think are okay, but then there's just like elements of this where like I'm not sure I see it. Plus like Rodgers is unstacked as well. Yeah, the Rodgers unstacked is kind of strange. 10 picks above ADP on top of that. All right. Lastly though, game tight in here. Bellman requesting a team review. I suppose. I don't think I've ever seen you before, Bellman. First time. Sure, we can do that. Not terrified, not terrible, and feels weird. My ex? Going back to your ex is typically terrible. Typically, that's not the move. Unless you made a big mistake the first time. But, all right, we got T-Law and Cam Ward. Might be too thin to check out. Cam Ward, quarterback 2, is either going to be an excellent bet or a very risky bet. But T-Law could also be MVP. You might get away with it. We got Genty at pick 14. Holy shit. That's pretty solid. Javonte Williams, Byshel Tootin at 59. That's pretty sweet. Rico Dowdle and Nick Singleton checks out. Singleton is Hard to trust, but an interesting player. I'd rather just have Pollard, though. That late, it's worth a shot. 203 overall. We'll see. But then CeeDee Lamb, round 1. We got Ladidi McConkey in the 3rd. BTJ in the 6th. Jacoby Myers, 107. Pretty sweet. Travis Hunter. So the mega stack with T-Law. And then Flournoy, Antonio Williams, Calvin Ridley, and Chimera DK. A lot of depth. Harold Fannin, and then another Jacksonville Jaguar. You are very committed to Jacksonville. I hope that Parker Washington doesn't burn you when it matters. I hope that's not what you're stuck with. The only player you need is the one you don't have. But you get one piece on the bring back, Antonio Williams. A couple backstacks with Cam Ward. I think the only way this team looks a little better is if, you know, you have like Carnell Tate instead of Brian Thomas. But they're all paired up with T-Law. Carnell Tate was never available. He went at 54. So yeah, all fair choices. Interesting bet. Week 7 could be a dilemma. We have 4 straight receivers with a week 7 bye. Also Antonio Williams. So week 7, you only have Lamb, Flournoy, Ridley, and Chimera DK. Godspeed to you in week 7. But only 1 week. Probably not going to be the end of the world. Quarterback, though, just might not carry. Like, if Lawrence doesn't hit, this team might be dust. The CeeDee Lamb Genty start is notable, but like this mega bet on Jacksonville ultimately decides the fate of the roster. You live and die by Jacksonville. It's a pretty good bet to make. But we did get a request from Bellman at the 10. Let's take a peek. We got Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, and Bryce Young. Don't love the pull up on Stroud. You have Higgins, but could just be a worthless stack, honestly. Don't love it. And then Bryce Young with Tet McMillan. At least that one checks out a little bit better. But Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, betting on the olds with the bring back. Jadarian Price, Dylan Sampson, Sean Tucker. Pretty decent. Just hope that, you know, 2 of the more injury-prone risks just actually stay healthy. If they do, these guys should be going way higher than where they go. They both fall as well. 3 spots on McCaffrey, 2 spots on Saquon. Excellent. Worth it. But Tet always feels kind of risky as the wide receiver 1. You did get McBride at 34. I was like, who's your 3rd round pick? Okay, McBride there is pretty interesting. A 6-pick slide on McBride. Not bad. Christian Watson, though, Cortland Sutton, Jaden Reed, Higgins, Omar Cooper, Tank Dell, Troy Franklin. So you kind of got sniped on Jordan Love, I would guess. You took Kyle Pitts instead. You took Bo Nix and Kyle Pitts. Did you get sniped on Love or just didn't want him? No, you got sniped at 108 by the team that just paired him with Golden. That's always possible. Worth the risk. I don't blame you there at all. You had Sutton. Bo Nix is better than Jordan Love, so if anything, it kind of saves you. All right. And then tight end with McBride and Kyle Pitts. That's a very good tight end room. So, yeah, receiver has a lot of depth. It's maybe not the most exciting up top. Like, I just don't really believe in Tet very much at 39. He's okay, but, like, I'm not that excited. I think it's just, like, his youth and, you know, the other ones have injury risk in round 4. But Tet, I don't love. But, yeah, fair bet to make, just not in the cards, apparently. Not today. But running back, I could just see, like, you know, like a Jenga tower. Like, you're in the lead, and it's week 11, and then just all of a sudden, you're stuck with Sampson in the starting lineup. Sampson, Jadarian Price, and it's just like, nope, not going to cut it. And whatever lead you had, like, quickly dwindles. By week 14, you're, like, in second place, and barely hanging on by a thread and just like miss it by like 10 points in the end. I could see running back just really let you down. Whether you advance or not, I think that probably determines your fate. But I think it checks out. All solid and enough stacks to justify. Maybe not the best stacks, though, in the world. The Bryce Young Tet McMillan stack. Ooh, scary. All right, let's do one more Chihuahua that won the poll. And I think given where the contest stands, it's probably not open tomorrow anyways. We're probably drafting a bunch of Superflex tomorrow, if I had to guess. Let me try and catch up with the chat real quick. I know y'all request another smoke sesh, so I'll pack it. But that was fun. I would agree. Air Jeff was also Team 7. Went very unique. You know what? I'll take a peek, Air Jeff. I missed your comment. I'm willing to take a look. I'll do it after I join this Chihuahua. But I had Ward and Rogers snipe for me. Always a bummer. Jags play Texans in Texas. Week 15, that scared me away. 2 games after that looked great, though. Yeah, the Week 17 matchup, going to be a shootout. Jags and Commanders. But Neighbors 43rd is not bad. Not too bad. I think CMC Saquon McBride can carry my receivers. That was a very unique start. That was a really, really compelling start. Good luck at receiver. All right, I'm joining the Chihuahua. I'm going to give you a little countdown. We are at 11:07 p.m. and we are drafting in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. I've noticed if I speed up the countdown, it gives, I think, more people a chance. Because then the 7-second delay isn't as valid as it once was. It's not an accurate timer. It's not an exact 10 seconds. Whether it's a little bit long or a little bit slow, it's not exact in theory. But, yo, we got Pepper Tony to find some money in his couch cushions. Enough to enter this lobby. He pulled the 104. I pulled the 108. Wouldn't be a nice and blunt draft without at least one lobby from the 108. But Peyton the Legend Manning in here again. We got That's What She Said at 102. Game Tight in here again. Pepper Tony, a member and moderator. X49er at the 105. Jordan Madden in here again. I believe he was drafting with us yesterday. And then we got Air Jeff in here once more. I was at 108. We got Bellman again. And then Anthony Spurs G at the 110. Underdogs Anonymous in here one more time. What's up, A-Rod? And then Jesus BMZ Chewy at the pick 12. A lot of friends and family. Genuinely, only 2 of y'all I don't recognize. The 102 and the 105. The only teams I'm not totally sure. But welcome, everyone. This is our last draft of the night. We've done 3 Chihuahuas after our pit bull to start off the night. It's been fun. Dean, I clicked the moment you say 10 now. You know what? I might do a long one. I might do a slow one. Then you risk being in the pre-flow, and no one wants to do that. I don't want to rug pull anyone. So it'll always be faster than slower if it's not going to be like a regularly paced out 10 seconds. Okay. Sure. I don't have a ton of Taylor these days. Sure. Why not? Pick 8. Why not? Amon-Ra's off the board. Why not? But 2 for 2. Let's go. I see you. If you make it in the second one, I'll probably take a look at this one. So we have a team review in store for Game Tight again. Pepper Tony. As well as A-Rod. And then Anthony will get one as well. Air Jeff requested it though, right? Yeah, I'll take a look at Air Jeff's team after this next pick. How about that? I'll get it open in another window. But in this lobby, nothing too crazy. Like CMC going where he probably should. If not, maybe even a pick higher. And then, yeah, round 1 was extremely typical. What is this draft again? We're in the Chihuahua? The Chihuahua. All right. I'm on the clock, and then we'll pull up Air Jeff's team. I got Taylor. I'll grab Chase Brown. I'll avoid the double week 13 bye. Not the end of the world, but I've also been trying to increase my Chase Brown exposure. I have enough of him, but I have more Derrick Henry. So I've been just stopping my my rank adjustment where I take Henry above Chase Brown. I'm just taking Chase Brown more often now. All right, Taylor and Chase Brown, not a unique start, just an easy to trust start. Maybe going receiver there, getting a little different is the move, but no complaints with this start so far. But let's take a look at Air Jeff. This is his team. He has a 3-5-7-3. Not sure we've drafted before with Air Jeff, so taking a look is Caleb, Jared Goff, and Malik Willis. That feels pretty strong. No issue with that. Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Chuba Hubbard, Rashad White, and Tank Bigsby. It all checks out except for Chuba Hubbard at 79, I guess. But Chuba's still pretty uninspiring. Everyone else, though, feels worthwhile. So even if it doesn't hit, I think I still approve of the build, other than just the name Chuba Hubbard feeling disgusting. But then Amon-Ra stacked up. We got Waddle on this team. Addison, you passed on Kyler. Thank you for that. Shaheed, number 4, is kind of sad. Tesla, number 5, is risky. Malik Washington and Chris Bell, yikes. Receiver falls off quick. Holy shit. If Addison doesn't hit too often, I sure hope Shaheed fucking crushes. But a lot holding on. A lot of this hinges on Amon-Ra and Jalen Waddle holding on to their health and producing at a high clip. The Dolphins bets feel worthless. Kind of worthless, honestly. I don't love the Chris Bell pick, really, at all. When you only have 7 in total, yikes. But Loveland is elite. Dulcich and Stowers. Yo, why the fuck are you taking Stowers? I've said it so many times. I don't understand this Stowers decision, especially with Loveland and Dulcich and this type of receiver room. I don't get it. The 3-5-7-3, I think burns you here. I think this should be a 3-5-8-2. Stowers is worthless in my opinion. I don't get it. I will never understand the Stowers slappies and their conviction. My rank says T. Higgins. ADP says Breece Hall. I think I need receiver, but then that would lock me into a Joe Burrow team. Fuck it. I'll go Breece Hall. Falls 4 picks. Not in love with it, but fuck it. We took Marvin Harrison earlier today, and it honestly didn't feel too bad. But the thing about Breece Hall here, he's my RB3, and now I'm not actually counting on him too much. I'm just adding him with the spike weeks that he offers in the flex. And he's a guy that can drop 30-plus points in a given week. He is someone that could actually burn you in the right spot. But I hate his matchup week 17. He gets the Vikings, and it just feels kind of gross. Their offense could be better in theory, but ultimately, sorry about that. Ultimately, the Breece Hall pick only is this valuable in best ball. It is not this valuable in redraft. I assure you, if you're drafting Brees in the third, I don't think you're making the playoffs in redraft. I'm not going to take Garrett Wilson. I'm not locking in double jet. Fuck that. I'm going to take Jalen Waddle. I'm going to take Jalen Waddle here. I don't like Tet very much. I'd much rather wind up with a Bo Nix, Jalen Waddle team than a Bryce Young, Tet McMillan team. That is why we go Waddle. But what's up, Brett? Nice to see you. Game Type wanted me to pull up Achan. Fuck that. Brett came to by to give us a like. We're at 50 likes. Appreciate you. Not just Brett, but everyone that hit the like button. Very much appreciated. And hopefully we'll put up another bomb-ass team. Like, legitimately, I've loved the teams I've drafted tonight. Legitimately, they've all been very fun. Maybe the last one was a little bit complicated, a little bit weird. But quarterback, I think, was saved with Kyler there. And we've been getting really nice prices at quarterback. But yeah. Jordonis. Best ball Bobby. Yeah, Jordan Madden. Best ball Bobby. Another member. I don't want to forget that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 team reviews and my own. We're going to throw in Peyton the Legend Manning, Spurs G, Underdogs Anonymous, Jordan, Pepper Tony, and Game Tight, along with my team. We're reviewing half of the lobby after the draft. But Pepper Tony says, my teams are my intellectual property. Please do not look at them. Well, you started off 4 receivers, so now I have to look. The 2 teams next to you are also very interesting. They go 3 wideouts and an elite tight end. Teams 3, 4, and 5 are going to be interesting in this lobby. And I'm not the only team with 3 running backs through the first 3 rounds. We had Jesus also do it. He took Jacobs at the turn. And then Spurs, he started off with CeeDee Lamb. So a little bit different. The receiver in round 1. But Ken Walker, Javonte, and Scatabo. Also, a lot invested there. But all good, Air Jeff. We had time. We made it happen. But Bellman, I'm gonna become a member soon. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, bro. Like, it's not that hard. You got $5? You got a credit card linked to your Google account? It's right there. Hit join, become a member of the Blunt Rotation, lock in the team review for $1.25 a week, basically. I think you can afford $5 for your boy, but only if you think it's worth it. Kind of just want to trust my rank. I'm gonna go Lamar at 56. I don't really see the point in forcing running back there. I get the bring back Lamar and Chase Brown. I'm probably pissing off somebody. Oh no, the Flowers drafter is Pepper Tony. Yo, Pepper Tony. You have Jamar Chase and Zay Flowers, and you don't take Lamar Jackson? You take Christian Watson, wide receiver 5, over Lamar? What kind of a Ravens fan are you? The fuck is going on, Pepper Tony? Yeah, $5 to get roasted. Here's the thing. I try to be as honest as possible. If I don't like it, I'll let you know. And if I'm wrong about my player takes and you want to clip it, like I might get roasted down the line. You know, that's also the game I'm playing. You may get roasted today. I may get fucking flamed in the future. I sure hope not. I hope I'm laughing my way to the bank, but I could get fucking flamed in the future. Damn it. Damn it. Am I actually gonna do it? I have an addiction. I have a problem, and that problem is drafting Chargers on every single team. That is the issue. But Pepper Tony kind of putting me in a tough spot there. Like, passing on receiver, not taking DJ Moore could have been a big misstep, honestly. But there's always receivers. They're going to come around. We have an elite quarterback, and you know what? If Pepper Tony's going to steal some of our receiver clicks, because I would have been ecstatic to take Christian Watson. Carnell Tate went off the board. Roma Dunze was even off the board. I'll take his beloved Lamar Jackson. He did not stack him up. He gets Jaden. Interesting. Yeah, the Burrow went at 64 to the Higgins team. You did not get Burrow. Jaden, a pretty good consolation prize, but is unstacked at this point. There's also that, but I expect the Rachaad White to be taken at pick 100. I'm going to call it now. Pepper Tony is drafting Rachaad White at pick 100. That's fair. The portfolio diversification is always a valid point at this point of the year. You have a green badge after all. Imagine the volume has been established already. But Dean Johnson, I'll never forget Fantasy Flock saying Puka was a wasted pick in the 18th round. Yo, I remember, I thought about this earlier today. Maybe it was yesterday, but I thought about this earlier today. I remember that year. Somebody in the chat was like, yo, what are your thoughts on Puka? I think he could smash. And I was dismissing it as well. I was like, really? A round 5 BYU receiver? When the fuck was the last time BYU offered up some production at wideout? I was dismissive of it as well. I only took him like 3 or 4 times that year. I didn't take really any Kyren Williams. Very, very little. Definitely not the two of them together. I was not hip to the Puka stance. The people on YouTube, myself included, we miss plenty of times. We're accurate a decent amount of times as well. We all hit in different pockets, but we all miss as well plenty of times. But I'm not going to take Herbert. I think structurally it's not the best move. I have a ton of Herbert teams as already. I think just building out this roster with receivers that fill in the lineup, I think I'll just go Alec Pierce. Hopefully he's healthy, but I have another Colt on the team, so a Daniel Jones pick will work if available. And Pierce is like a true upside swing. If I'm going to go heavy volume at receiver, which I think this team is trending that direction, we start off 3 running backs and we took a quarterback round 5. I might take 9 receivers. At least I'm probably taking 8, but I want some really high upside if I'm going to go that many early on. Like, I might have 8 by like the 16th round and like 7 by like round 13. Something like that. I might take 4 in the very near future. Maybe punt the quarterback 2 until like Daniel Jones or something in the 12th. That's definitely possible. A-Rod has Tyler Warren. He might be listening and putting that in the back of his mind. Maybe I should not broadcast my full strategy. But me and Game Tight are the shaking hands meme for 0 RB. Yeah, I mean, really, it's like pick 3, 4, and 5. If that's where you want to go, that's the spot to do it. But yeah, Game Tight is just fucking committing to the bit. Holy shit. Puka, Nico, Devontae, Colston Loveland, Carnell Tate, Marvin Harrison, and Mekhi Lemon. All right. Is Game Tight going to stop at... Oh, shit, I'm on the clock. Fuck. We go Josh Downs. I'm committing to the Colts. Fuck. I just remembered. I already had Pierce. Fuck. Damn it. Jones, a week 13 bye? Okay, excellent. Perfect. That was a miscue. This is why I stop at 4 drafts. I get way too high later on. But it's probably not the end of the world. Probably not the end of the world. That is a lot of Colts, though. 3 Colts in the first 8 rounds. And none of them are Tyler Warren? I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's the move. I keep forgetting to scroll down when we move back. It's kind of annoying. When you go to make your pick and then you come back, it doesn't automatically just like put you where you need to be. It isn't kind of annoying. All right. That's going to give us some extra room. I promised another pack of the bowl. Let's give you some ASMR as we do that. We're building the pipe. I don't think this sound is coming in because it is very, very quiet. But you know what I've been trying to perfect lately? Closing this, once it's like locked, you can get it in like 1 spin. Yeah, I had it in 1 spin. The second one fucking... It's a satisfying sound. All right. Let's go. All right, don't want to get caught on the clock again. Pittman's still here. That's what my rank says. Purdy's also available. Damn. What's the deal with the Sutton drafter? He's on that side. Damn it. I might really regret this because there's a lot of quarterbacks on the board. They've been falling, but the Daniel Jones week 13 bye was like shit. I don't think I can afford to do that. Had I taken Pittman, it would open up Aaron Rodgers. Some divisional correlation, but that's kind of worthless. I wanted Jalen Waddle stacked, ultimately. I didn't think the Sutton drafter would pass twice. He has Josh Allen, but he just took Jackson Dart, so I think he was willing to go with quarterback. Not totally convinced he would have passed on Bo Nix, but I guess Dart made more sense. I probably should have taken Pittman. Probably. There's also some pretty weak rosters at receiver around this turn. Yeah, if Purdy makes it back, it's going to look even more unjustified. I may have not played that correctly. The weed might be hitting me, but no excuses. I think I just wanted to play it safe, really. I've been trying to stack up Waddle with Bo Nix a few times lately, and it just hasn't quite happened. So I've been kind of pissed off to not get it. Okay, Purdy goes. I didn't want to have to take him at a value. Stafford is here, but unstacked I don't think is worth it. By ADP, Wandale makes some sense. Could go Kittle. But I think I trust... Actually, I probably should have taken Romeo Doubs for the bring back, but ran out of time, forgot about the Bo Nix Denver versus New England game. However, Romeo Doubs does have a kind of decent path because we expect A.J. Brown to be stifled by Pat Surtain that week. But Dean Johnson says, I have forced all of my picks based on playoff schedule except the Lions pick. Dean, are you at pick 1? I forget which pick you have. I don't remember. But Peppertoni must have gotten sniped. Oh, yeah, you're at pick 1. You also took Pollard. The playoff schedule is a valid reason to favor some players over others. It looks like you're building out the Baker Mayfield stack, and you did not get it. Also looks like that. May have missed. Jonathan Brooks going only 17 picks after Chuba is wild to me. I've been saying their price should probably start to get closer to each other. I think it's not that Brooks should be going much higher. I think the 9th round is kind of my cap because his injury risk is still very legitimate. But until we get a confirmation that he's like going to get the reps as the RB1, I don't think I want to rank him any higher than that. But Hubbard needs to fall. Hubbard absolutely needs to fall. He should go after Rico, closer to RJ Harvey. I think Chuba Hubbard is just an 8th round pick. More along the lines of like Blake Corum and RJ Harvey. I think Kenny Gainwell might be better than him as well. I think Kenny Gainwell is an interesting option. Trevor, I have not clicked in a minute. I have maybe left Trevor at the altar. It was fun for a while, but I think I got enough bags where I don't think I need more. I was at like 6-7%, and I was like, how much more does it need to be? It can fall back down to 4%, and yeah, don't want to go over. It's fun. Mix in a little bit, but I don't think I want too much. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want him to be one of my consistent picks in the final round. All right, Kelsey made it back. I think this value on Kelsey is pretty legit. Definitely my ranking says to take him here. I don't have a tight end yet, and I also love his matchup in the final week. So Andrews is not available, so no stack there. I'll just go Kelsey. 9 picks past ADP. Pretty solid. Andrews went at 121. But the Mahomes drafter... Oh, the Mahomes drafter's on this side of the board. Interesting. It's weird. When I have Mahomes on the right side of the board... On the left side, excuse me. If I have Mahomes at the 101, 102, no one lets me have Kelsey. But as soon as Mahomes goes on the right side of the board, now I'm getting Kelsey at a massive fall when I don't really want him. He's fine, but I'm not like desperate to have Kelsey on every team. A-Rod, I would have taken Bo and Dart, but I'm content with Dart paired up with Allen. Damn, you would have gone with 3. Interesting. Honestly, that might have fucked up the team. Not like completely, but Allen, Bo Nix, and Jackson Dart is kind of a lot to spend. It's excellent though, no doubt about that. But I might have saved you a little bit. I'm Peyton. I'm about to get fucked at quarterback. Okay, it looks like you got Malik Willis. That's kind of the move. Pull in case of emergency. Malik Willis at the 10-11 turn. We are on the clock, though. Coker or Shaheed? Week 17, Rashid Shaheed will be against Carolina. Meanwhile, Coker will be against Seattle. I'll go Shaheed just for that reason alone. I also think some of the people in the fantasy community who've been talking about Seattle lately, it's kind of compelling the last couple weeks, the case for Shaheed. I know our boy Jiri likes him. I've heard him talked up a bit on a lot more mainstream channels as well. And in general, there's really nothing to hate about Shaheed. They probably throw the ball quite a bit more. And like for them to pay Shaheed 17 mil and let Ken Walker go is pretty telling. I think he's definitely their number 2. And I've believed in this like overall position. But Shaheed has also typically gone like 20 picks earlier historically when like the receiver position may have been more coveted, but like still he's always been an appropriate spike week candidate. Any given week, even in your regular league, even in regular formats. If you start Shaheed and you wind up with like 18 points, you're not surprised at all. Dean Johnson says, I've been completely fucked at quarterback. I have never once had no quarterback to pick at pick 120. He does take Daniel Jones at 144. Unstacked Tyler Warren on the other side of the board. I have all of the other Colts. So I suppose Daniel Jones does run the ball a little bit, but good luck with Malik Willis and Daniel Jones. You might be interested in a Keenan Allen in the final round. Maybe take Debo, because I could also see Debo go to the Colts. I feel like they're in the market for one of the free agents. But Slayton, I liked ETN a lot. I have a lot of ETN. I'm starting to worry I have too much. Starting to worry. But Bo over Dart, it's more about the stack. It's more about the Waddle pair on this roster. Yeah, stay in school or you'll end up drafting best ball teams starting in January through August. I did not start in January. I started in February, sir. I started in February. It's much different. I suppose I could take Pacheco. Fuck. Damn it. I'll go Trey Tucker. Jalen Waddle, Quentin Johnston, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Wan'Dale Robinson, Rashid Shaheed, Trey Tucker. Haven't taken a running back since Breece Hall. Started off with Taylor, Chase Brown, Breece Hall. Receiver has been 7 of the last 10 picks. And our only tight end so far is Travis Kelce. Teams checking out okay. I think we're going to stop at 2 quarterbacks with Lamar and Bo Nix. Different bye weeks. Don't have a stack with Lamar yet, but always some later options. Teams coming together. Shaheed, the kick returner, I think he will also play more of a role in the true offense. I also think being traded really impacts your ability to step into an offense midseason. And even though he's familiar with Clint Kubiak, it just wasn't an ideal situation. And he was just more capable of contributing as a kick returner last year. But if you tell me Cooper Kupp goes down, is Shaheed not like immediately vaulting into the top 45 in every week's rankings? Like, I think the bet against Cooper Kupp is also very compelling. And like, as much as we like Torrey Horton a little bit, like, let's just follow the money, right? Like, I don't want to overthink it too much. Follow the money. Can't help myself. I have a lot of Juwan Johnson. I have even more Tank Bigsby, but I'll grab Tank Bigsby once again. I do have a double week 13 bye. The Colts and Jets have the same bye week. But here's the thing. Typically, if you're not like in contention in week 13, like you have no chance. You have no chance. If you're not top 3 by week 13, your team might be dead. So let's go for it. If week 13 burns me, it burns me. But I do have a lot of players on bye week 13. I got Trey Tucker. I got Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Lamar Jackson, Brees Hall, Jonathan Taylor, all on bye week 13. Yikes. But I have enough receivers to fill out the starting roster. We got Wandale and Shaheed, along with Waddle and QJ, my top two. Running back might be a little tricky, but here's the thing. If Tank Bigsby is hitting, it's week 13. It's late in the season. It's not early. So to double up on that week bye is not the end of the world with Tank Bigsby. He actually compliments pretty nice, and I really wasn't thinking about that when I took him, but it's a nice extra thing to say to make it sound even smarter. Tank Bigsby, pretty much always one of the correct picks. Shaheed and Horton are both home run hits. Maybe we could mix in Torrey Horton as well, but I like Shaheed a lot. He's a fair click, round 12. Spark it up. You know what? AMC, sure. We can do that. Sure. Dobbs, Judy, and Shaheed have the same contract AAV. 17 mil does not mean the same as it once did, but Schultz made it back. I almost took him in the last round. ADP says Hawkinson, but my rank says Schultz. And ultimately, it's like 2 picks difference in ADP. They both fell kind of dramatically. Like 8 spots on Schultz, pretty sweet. 10 picks on Hawkinson. If I had Kyler, sure, but I'm not even excited to draft Hawkinson at ADP with Kyler. I pushed him in the last draft, and we didn't get away with it. I didn't really care. But Dean Johnson, there's a Colts receiver I want at the end. Maybe it's Deion Burks. Maybe, just maybe, it's Deion Burks. But you clearly need Riley Leonard to land this plane. I don't. Not another week 13 bye, that's for sure. But Pepper Tony almost had an auto draft disaster, got too busy being a chat troll. Right. I get the luxury of not having to type anything in the chat. If anything, having to bring up your chat comments slowly well past when you messaged me is an advantage compared to the folks that are typing in the moment and then realizing they're on the clock. It's happened to me before. I've definitely gotten burned at times, but maybe I'm not at a disadvantage after all. My ranks is Greg Dulcich, so does ADP. Running back, though, is kind of important. And for me here, it's like pretty overwhelmingly Katron in terms of my rankings. I think that's the position I want to hit the most. I will take Katron. Tight end was definitely a position of value, though, based on ADP. But I think structurally, the team needs some running back points. And it gets really gross this late. But one of the names I just like a lot, and I've just been taking as much as possible, is Katron Allen. So just staying on brand. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And last year I was taking JCM when he was this inexpensive. This year I'm taking Katron. Shout out our boy Jonathan, member of the subscriber league, loves Katron, and he sold me when we spoke. Technically, he sold me the Saturday before we were live. We were live on the Sunday, but had a fun conversation with him both days that weekend, and based on his opinion, he loves Katron. A lot of reasons why, but especially when you factor in how uncommitted the Commanders really are to JCM, kind of obvious. Don't think JCM is worth it. Katron goes so late, I think it's worth it. But I think we will get rewarded with our tight end push. At the worst, we're going to get Terrence Ferguson probably, Kate Otten. Almost made it back. Didn't stack up, though, so fine not getting him. I have a lot more Fryermuth than T-Ferg, but I think they're both pretty solid. Let's shoot for upside. Let's go Terrence Ferguson here. I think in terms of just like raw points, Fryermuth probably scores more. However, I already have Kelsey and Schultz. Those guys are just like massive volume bets. I need some touchdowns. I need the 40-yard score that these two just can't really offer in the same way as Ferguson. If Ferguson breaks out year 2, it's a bet I want to make. Last year, I was pretty invested in Terrence Ferguson. I'm back in this year for sure. Maybe not at the same rate, but I think he's a player that needs to be drafted in every single draft. A-Rod, no, I said I would have taken Bo over Dart, but I'm content with Dart. I was never going to take Bo and Dart. Gotcha. So the Cortland Sutton Bo Nix stack is more valuable to you than the Malik Neighbors Bo Nix stack. But Pat Bryant is here. Love it. I'm going to go unstacked with Lamar Jackson. Don't give a shit about that at all. All right, this team is interesting. Very interesting. Lamar Jackson and Bo Nix, totally content stopping there. 5 running backs with 3 of them in the first 3 rounds. If these 3 do not hit, this team is dead. But as long as they stay healthy, it should work out. Love the Breece Hall in the flex, where every week it's not going to work out. The floor really doesn't mean anything with Breece Hall. There's a lot of sub 10-point games with him. But those random 20-plus point games, which can land in like a 35, even 40-point range, I don't think is insane to believe on Breece Hall. If it happens at the right time, maybe he's the skeleton key. We'll see. But Tank Bigsby, late season bet, possibly covering my week 13 buy on Taylor and Breece Hall. And then Katron, I also think, will deliver on the goal line. So, love the running back room. We also get a minor bring back Chase Brown versus Lamar Jackson in the final week. But really, this bet is on Bo Nix and Jalen Waddle. This Denver Broncos stack is really the main key. If this does not work out, the team might suck. But I took Waddle over Tet McMillan, 4 picks above ADP. I'm taking a stance on Waddle. I think it justified the Bo Nix click. But QJ at 65 is also a major stand. Might have gotten pretty slappy there, but ultimately I needed volume and upside at the position. That's where Alec Pierce comes in. Once he's healthy, the volume's there. They paid him too much. $27 million is a big contract. They had to have known the risk. He might start slow, but I think he will deliver when active. If he doesn't, I got Josh Downs, so one of the Colts receivers is definitely going to hit. I don't hate having both. Honestly, I really don't. At ADP, they both feel like pretty solid values, and like if I'm wrong on Pierce, then that means I'm definitely not wrong on Downs. I'm probably right on both, though. I think they're both worth their price tag. So didn't force the stack. I do have a lot of week 13 buy commitments, but stopping at 2 quarterbacks without the 0 at week 13 definitely feels solid. So stacking Waddle, I think, was very critical. Wanda Robinson, a target hog. Hopefully that's what he's been the last 2 seasons and should be a reliable piece in Tennessee, an up-and-coming passing offense. So this is kind of the floor play alongside with Downs, but then back to upside with Shaheed. Straight upside, not much of a floor play, but a house call waiting to happen. Maybe that's in the punt return game, but still, that's 6 points that he wouldn't otherwise get. That's still a valid 6 points. He could also give you 70 yards receiving the same week. Is it really that different than 70 yards and a touchdown from somebody else? Maybe. It comes with 2 touchdowns. But Trey Tucker, Pat Bryant, especially the stack on Pat Bryant, we got some upside here. I think the wideout number 3 in Denver will be a tremendous value. Love the reason to take Pat Bryant as well. If Waddle had the orange jersey, I've mentioned this, he would go in the top of the 4th. I think the Dolphins jersey still is like subconsciously applied to Waddle's value. You kind of crater him a little bit when you're like, oh, damn it, I got a Dolphins receiver. Oh, wait, no, I have the Broncos receiver. And Bo Nix threw the most pass attempts in the league last year. Oh, shit. I have Sean Payton's first-round pick that he traded for Waddle. Historically, that's been a player you want. So this is the main bet. Volume on Kelsey. Love his Week 17 matchup. Schultz also major volume bet. And then Ferguson can just pop for 15-plus points any given week if the Rams decide it's his turn. So I like this team a lot. Another unique combo. The little fall on Breece Hall. And definitely good enough quarterbacks to stop there. Let's hope Lamar stays healthy, but Bo Nix is really, I think, the main bet on this one. All right, we got Air Jeff coming in with Lamar. Owners are sleeping on Bateman. He goes through spurts of touchdown binges. He could also easily lose his job. There's a lot of writing on the wall that they want to replace him. There's definitely a major slide that happened for Rashad Bateman that may never recover. That's also possible. But Dean Johnson, this is not the team I wanted. Let's do some team reviews. We mentioned like half this lobby are members, so there are some teams that I'll go with first. Pepper Tony, first time drafting with us tonight, so we'll start with him. One of the moderators as well. All right, we got Jaden Daniels at 69. Nice. Jordan Love at 117. Always a good fall. Blake Corum, J.K. Dobbins, Chris Rodriguez, Tyjae Spears, Dylan Sampson, Sean Tucker, Jaden Blue, and Marshawn Lloyd. The 8 running back build. If the number 1 is Corum, it's definitely an 8 running back room. But interesting pieces. The C-Rod bet, always nice. Dobbins to carry you for a while. He will go down, and hopefully one of these ones hits. But Tyjae, I think always at best just the pass catcher. I do think he's going to be very much competing with Nick Singleton if Pollard goes down, and I don't think he's ever going to overtake Pollard. So Spears is pretty mid, high price tag. You felt the desperation. Sampson, though, one of the interesting handcuffs, more valuable in full PPR than half PPR, but if Quinshawn goes down, Sampson does step in, and maybe the new offensive coordinator wants to mix him in more than he was used last year. Maybe the role for Judkins won't be as significant this season, but Sean Tucker, Jaden Blue, and Marshawn Lloyd. Blue and Lloyd, really risky, but on an 8 running back team, you're going to have a lot of zeros, and then one week you just have the right guy, especially if Lloyd delivers. Good luck, man. I mean, it is an 8 running back room, but let's just see what the rest of it holds. We have Jamar Chase, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Luther Bird, and Christian Watson. Those first 5 picks were all receiver. You also took Keon Coleman in the last round. I still think it's fine. 6, definitely the right move. Is Keon Coleman actually valuable? Maybe not. You might only have 5, but you started with 5. They better fucking work. So you're not expecting much out of Coleman. If he hits, he could be a gold mine. That's also viable. But Kraft is an elite talent. Chigokonko has an elite situation. Good values there. And then both of them do stack as well. The tight end room perfectly correlates. So you don't have Terry. You don't have Antonio Williams. You don't have Brandon Ayuk. All fine. Just like my Lamar Jackson, you actually do have you at least have 1 stack with Chigokonko. I didn't even have that. I don't even have that. But you took Zay Flowers. Let me have Lamar. I thank you for it. You ended up with Daniels. It's a different team. There's going to be so many Jamar Chase, Zay Flowers teams that also have Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. To be throwing that out there is probably a pretty volatile combo in that game. But then to mix it up with a different quarterback, maybe the running back steal some touchdowns. Maybe those are receivers that do finish in the top 5, maybe top 10. But the quarterback is still somebody else that you might need. It's probably not Jordan Love, though. Maybe it's Jaden Daniels. Good luck, Peppertoni. Pretty solid team. A 2-8-6-2 from Peppertoni. A true 0 RB. I salute you. From pick 4, we salute you. The receiver room is pretty elite. But Game Tight was also in here with a unique 0 RB as well. He has Tyler Shuck, Cam Ward, and CJ Stroud. Cheap, but effective enough. Stroud is the number 3. Definitely where he should be. Cam Ward always needs a third. And then Shuck, an underrated option as your number 1. Monungai, Rashad White, Jordan Mason, B-Rob, Mike Washington, Jordan James, and Kalen Black. So you started taking running backs maybe around the same range as Peppertoni, but having Rashad White, I guess, is compelling enough to you. You did not let Peppertoni acquire Rashad White. That's also an interesting dynamic here. Something to factor in on Peppertoni's team. But receiver has Puka, Nico, Devontae, Cardinal Tate, Marvin Harrison, and Mekhi Lemon. Absolutely worth stopping. You do not have Jalen Hurts on this team. I think Jalen Hurts instead of Harrison would make this team a little more fun. But Colston Loveland, Juwan Johnson, excellent. Juwan Johnson also stacks with Tyler Shuck. So a nice gift on the back stack. You got him 10 picks past ADP. Didn't feel desperate. Love that. Just let it fall to you. And a perfect slide. Like a glove. We got Kyle Monungai. The running back room needs help. Like, you know, this is the thing about the running back room, where Peppertoni's is just like sporadic and like covering all bases. Other than Rashad White, Game Tight is extremely reliant on injuries. Monungai could score like 7 touchdowns, but really he's very reliant on Swift going down. Mason is not going to score 7 touchdowns, even if Aaron Jones goes down, if you ask me. That's going to be tough. In the Kevin O'Connell system, that's pretty hard to trust. And Mason's pretty mid, so he also needs an injury for Aaron Jones to go down. He doesn't realize his true potential. And then B-Rob, we all know about that in Atlanta. Might score like 5 touchdowns on his own, though. So hopefully the goal line bets just fall in your favor. But then Mike Washington does nothing without Genty getting hurt. And then, you know, one of these should hit. But if CMC stays healthy, you know, you're shit out of luck. So very risky in the running back room. Very injury dependent. But injuries always happen. It's not a bad strategy. Good luck, Game Tight. Good luck. I wish the quarterback room had Jalen Hurts. I think I would like it a little better. With Harrison swapped out for Hurts. And then, you know, then you don't need Stroud. Always feels kind of worthless. Never ideal. But at least after ADP, that's solid. Okay. We got Jordan in here, who has T-Law, Fernando Mendoza, and Geno Smith. He's a member of the channel. Don't like the Geno Smith, but like we've seen, I've drafted some teams where you just make the bet on Trevor Lawrence actually just being that good. And then Mendoza should deliver late. Geno probably delivers early. But this team is going to be dependent on Trevor Lawrence. So hopefully there's a big T-Law stack at the very least. Drafted from the 6th spot, right in the middle. Interesting. CMC Jeremiah Love at pick 30. Really good price on Love. I think there you have to take it. Absolutely. Just have to take it. Trayvon Henderson and Keaton Mitchell, though. Wow. So major fade on Hampton. Maybe Keaton can still score like 8 touchdowns in the system, but a risky as fuck running back room. I'll say that. CMC, though, can carry it if he stays healthy. We got Garrett Wilson, Parker Washington. So there's our stack with T-Law, Addison Pearsall, Romeo Dobbs, Concepcion. So a lot of volume in the middle rounds. Fair prices on everyone. Yeah, to have Concepcion number 6 and then still have 3 more with McMillan, Trey Harris, and then the interesting, unique acquisition of Dotson. Like, yeah, this is a very legit 9 receiver room. I can't fault it at all. Bowers totally justifies it. Otten, solid backup. Didn't want Dotson. I was going to take Tua, so I had him in the queue. Tried to star running back. Yeah, sometimes you get put on the spot. The 20-second clocks. You could have used a running back. There is that. Yeah, tried to start running back. Could have definitely used it. But Dotson, yeah, every round matters, I suppose. But quarterback, let's not pretend is like the most exciting. It's not like you made a mega bet on Lawrence. Like you got P-Wash in here, but not even Brenton Strange. That's maybe the one criticism. You have Garrett Wilson with Geno, however, and then Mendoza with Bowers. So that's not a, that makes sense. It's not inspiring, but it makes sense. Mendoza, I hopefully would assume delivers down the stretch, though. But good luck with T-Law and Parker Washington specifically. That is definitely a major bet. This team could absolutely need use one more running back, but pretty solid overall. Like, I do see a path. You kind of have to thread the needle a little bit, though. But appreciate that, Game Tight. Hindsight, though, is 2020. Hindsight, always 2020. AMC, I'm anticipating a much larger role for Monungai this season alongside Swift. It could happen. I don't think he'll be worthless at that pick. He definitely has standalone value, and he's in a good run-first offense. But I think it's still a bit reliant on a Swift injury to cover being more valuable than this. Like, this is truly drafting him, I think, at the ceiling, barring an injury. I don't think I can. My voice is getting a little tired, so I think I'm going to call it. We are at the 3.5 hour mark. RB quantity over quality. Yeah, Peppertoni made a bold stance and stuck to it. The Dobbins click, though, is pretty valuable. Dobbins and C-Rod, I think, really saved this team. Those two specifically. Had he gotten Rashad, I think it would have been better, but maybe should have taken Rashad instead of Blake Corum. That is also a viable move, because Corum is really nothing guaranteed. Elite upside, but like, I can say the same thing about Bigsby, who goes 70 picks later. I don't take much Corum, I'll be honest. But Chiefs, Cowboys, my two favorite teams. With Spurs, we mentioned we'll give a team review to Spurs. First, I'm going to go with A-Rod, Underdogs Anonymous, and then we'll get to Spurs. And then I think we mentioned Peyton the Legend Manning drafting with us at the 101. Otherwise, though, I'll be checking out after that. Air Jeff off to bed. Appreciate you popping in. Drafted with us a couple times, but thank you very much. That last team we checked out, pretty competitive. I believe there was like the final round thing you mentioned you weren't too happy with. There was like one click. Maybe I don't remember. That's also possible. Don't like drafting right next to me, by the way. That's always a factor. Yeah. I never try to snipe people, but I definitely get in the way sometimes. Good luck next time. Appreciate you popping in this evening. Okay, we have A-Rod's team from the 111 has Allen, Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston. Would have gone Bo Nix had he been available. And I guess that's why. He does not trust Jackson Dart at all. He actually does it. Goes with the Winston handcuff. Honestly, I've done it before myself. In these 18th round drafts, though, not really. Like, I took a lot of Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston in, like, the big board. Maybe not a ton. Maybe, like, 3% of the time. I'd get Dart and Winston. But that was a 20-round situation. I think I would just trust Allen and Dart. But we can always afford at least one luxury pick. Final round. No issue with it. Genty Hampton is always elite. You got Ramondre to fall at 83. Pacheco at 155. Decent. It's Detroit after all, so a valuable offense to bet on. And then Ray Davis, Buffalo after all. Same argument. So excellent backfields to bet on. And then the Genty Hampton start is always fantastic. All right, so far it's looking pretty solid. The Jameis click was interesting, though, but it does pair up with Neighbors. If Jameis is throwing in Neighbors, that's also going to be insane. But then DJ Moore, you got the stack at 59. That's always nice. Sutton, Golden, Diggs, Flournoy, Malik Washington, and Slayton. This checks out pretty nicely. I mean, Neighbors is always risky, but like still, I think you have enough options to cover you. And then Slayton, I think, is also one of my favorite, like, sneaky acquisitions down at the tail end. If Neighbors does miss time, they pay him so much. He has to be involved. He should be healthy week 1 if Neighbors isn't. So, like that a lot. Tyler Warren and then Kincaid. Valuable, high upside, and then possibly, like... There's a world where Tyler Warren is actually the tight end 1 on the season. That's also possible. I wouldn't rule it out entirely. So, fun team. The Kincaid stack also really valuable. I think it's the more valuable acquisition. Like, him versus Shakir, I think you need Kincaid with Allen way more. So, like that you didn't take both. Maybe they weren't both on the table, but the Kincaid scoop, definitely the right move. Really good team. Honestly, like, very complete. In a vacuum, I don't love the Pacheco click, but it's just the price. But, like, you ultimately want the Detroit backfield. So, if he stays the RB2, it's totally worth it. And then you trust these year 2 breakouts. It's a good team. You got away with the Jameis click. Like, legitimately. It could have been running back, but I think you got away with it. Not upset at all with the Jameis click. All right. There was Spurs in here again, so getting the team review. Dak Prescott, Mahomes, and Purdy. Really good at quarterback. A lot of capital spent, but all in the... Purdy in 111. I think I would have taken that too. I think it would have been hard to pass on Purdy, even with my Lamar and Bo Nix. So I'm happy you grabbed it, so I didn't have to. Kenneth Walker, Javonte, Scatabo, Quinshon Judkins, and Kamara. Kamara might be worthless, but he might not be. And if he is, the running back room was already fantastic. So far, it looks amazing. CD Lamb, BTJ, Jacoby Myers, Shakir, Juwan Jennings, AD Mitchell, Tyreek Hill, and Keenan Allen. So a lot of volume and maybe some really disappointing players like Shakir, or wide receiver 4. Damn. Myers is also kind of sad. You have Lamb, so like the volume, I guess, but like, yeah, receiver is pretty gross. I hope Tyreek Hill plays. Same with Keenan. If they do, you get out of here though. possibly in the clear. Early season on Keenan, late season on Tyreek. There's a world, but you have to thread the needle. It's risky. And then Likely and Strange are fine, but just fine. You built out a Trevor Lawrence team without T-Law. Maybe you should have just taken T-Law instead of Dak. Oh no, Lawrence was already off the table. Never mind. You never had a shot on T-Law. That's fair. You got bitter about it. You like the Jags offense, and that's appropriate. They're a good team to bet on. BTJ, Jacoby, and Strange. No wonder. What was it? Game Tight's team? I think it was Game Tight. Maybe it was Peppertoni. I forget. Whoever drafted P-Wash and T-Law. Maybe it was Jordan. That's also possible. We mentioned one more. I think it's Peyton. And then we're done. We got Malik Willis, Daniel Jones, and Tua. Yeah, he mentioned the desperation. I mean, I think it's the best you can kind of get away with for like how inexpensive it is and being at the bookend and sometimes getting bullied. I think you did have to go Malik there. I definitely think so. Because otherwise you would have been double tapping Daniel Jones, CJ Stroud. And no one wants to do that as their first two quarterbacks. So I think Malik Willis is kind of the savior of like the quarterback market. You took him a round above ADP, but he goes on the opposite side of the board. So it just means there'll be fewer Malik Willis with Gibbs or Bijan teams. Sometimes he falls a full round as well, but based on how you built it, you needed him. So hopefully the rest of the team is pretty good. It should be. It better be. But Daniel Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, you get the stack with Bijan and Tua, so a legit pairing. He might just keep the job if he stays healthy. And then Travis Achan, the bring back, Tony Pollard, an excellent RB3, Gainwell, one of the best RB4s, and then Emmett Johnson, worth it at 192. Olave, so the double bet on New Orleans. You may have needed to just pull up Tyler Shuck, as crazy as that sounds, but yeah, I've been at the 101 and been sad that I can't even get Shuck as my QB1. But Adams, maybe you could have taken Matthew Stafford as well. You took Kyle Pitts at 96. Okay, there it is. There it is. Yeah, that's the reason why. Jamison Williams, Chris Godwin, Jalen Naylor, Antonio Williams, Zachariah Branch, Deion Burks. It was Deion Burks. Burks is kind of interesting. I think Keenan will definitely keep him off the field if they bring him in. And then if Debo comes to town, watch out. But for there to be rumors about them seeking a veteran presence, I would worry a little bit about Deion, especially if it's Keenan Allen. That would be a death sentence. So it's the last round, last pick, I guess. But I think at this point, I'm more compelled to take a Debo and Keenan with Daniel Jones backstacked and just pray I get one of them in free agency. But receivers, not bad. It's pricey, though. You took Godwin at 73. He might be worth that pick. Honestly, he might just deserve to go there. Legitimately, I don't think it's terrible, but like obviously it's way above ADP. It's 15 picks above ADP. The 101 can get desperate at times. Did you pass on a quarterback? You didn't. No. This is where I'll just take Herbert sometimes. Like, I think you should have just taken Jadarian Price at 74. Damn, you passed on Jadarian Price. I guess. I don't really love him either, but round 7, you took Godwin over Price. Holy shit. That's an interesting move, Peyton. That's an interesting move. Kyle Pitts also over all the quarterbacks. Kenny Gainwell over all the quarterbacks. I think you kind of asked for this. I understand not taking a quarterback there where you took Godwin. But, like, I think passing for Pitts and Gainwell kind of sealed your fate. I'm sure this pissed you off like crazy, though. Stafford, Love, Tyler Shuck, all just within reach. But here's the thing. People like the 3 quarterback builds, especially when they see you on the bookend with 0 at quarterback. Not gonna happen, buddy. You will get bullied, no doubt. So that's just kind of the nature of the game. Like Slayton says, cannot play ADP at the turn. But Pepper Tony, with a fairly valid point. Malik there, though, is kind of just a saving grace. Keep that in mind. You still made it out decently well. Daniel Jones has to stay healthy, but if he hits, you're in business. It's unstacked, though. Let's be honest. It could be better. You could have my pass catchers, Pierce and Downs. Yeah, maybe take Pierce. Give yourself an option. But obviously you wanted Baker. I get it. Okay. Good luck at QB. Receiver solid. Some interesting choices. You also took Andrews there. Could have pulled up another quarterback, I suppose, but unstacked Andrews, I suppose, can score 10 touchdowns. Valid pick. Dean Johnson, the worst thing about my team is you can't see where there's loaded value at one position to justify the lack of value everywhere. Yeah, there's also that. Like, running back's good, but it's not like, holy shit. Like, maybe you could just stop with 4. Receiver is also not like, holy shit. Godwin is just expensive, so it's like, okay. And then tight end is like good, but not holy shit. It's all a little bit uninspiring. But then there is Bijan there as well. The Bijan pick is just so productive. With one of these running backs on the bench every week, it's like maybe that is where you messed up. I don't fault you for Pitts. I think I fault you for Gainwell. Either Gainwell or Pollard. One of those two. But Warren is my most drafted tight end. RB, we're getting pulled up by Game Tight and Pepper Tony. Yeah, running back got strange down the stretch too. With all of those 0 RB teams, I'm sure it was good to be avoiding that position, but the whole draft lobby kind of got thrown out of whack with 2 or 3 major bets like that. But appreciate it, Pepper Tony. I think we made it to the end. It was all for playoff correlation. I have 35% Jadarian Price in first puppy, so I pass on him now. I think at that discount, man, I think I would have just taken it. Because then you can just stop. You know, like, if you have Bijan, Travis, Pollard, and Price, like, I totally understand not wanting to pull up a quarterback there. But then you have a really loaded and fairly unique team. A full round discount on Price, essentially, where he used to go. I think taking him there at 73 might have made more sense. And then you're not pigeonholed into Gainwell and hoping that Baker falls back. Like, I pushed him to 130. I was shocked about it, but you know, it doesn't always happen. You don't always get away with it. So risky, it just didn't work out, but Malik Willis saves you a quarterback instead of Gainwell. Stafford there would have been clutch. I think this team could really use Stafford, honestly. Or Goff, but you took Bijan over Gibbs. I think Stafford over Gainwell. Probably the move. But you know it, A-Rod. Yes. For you, it's 2 a.m. For me, it's 12:20. For me, it's only 20 minutes after midnight. It's not that late for yours truly. All right. We'll see you probably tomorrow. But I also want to shout out Wednesday on the Fanspeak Network. Make sure you're subscribed because at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, I will be live versus Whohames in Best Ball Jeopardy. Very excited for that. That is 2 days away. Technically, less than 2 days away. So looking forward to that. Maybe the time is different. It might be 5:30. I will confirm tomorrow on the timing, but look out for that. Very excited. We're going to have one more rip from the pipe, and then I'll say good night. Later.